200. And this should be one spectacular qualifying session. Let's take a look first at how they have qualified right up to this moment. We have Alex Zanardi sitting on the pole, but Greg Moore didn't get any time in yesterday, and he set that time just a few seconds ago. Mauricio Guzman also has been able to move up in this order. The rest of the names there are all the regulars out of the fast car session. We'll take a look all the way down through how they have qualified right up to this moment, and then we're going to be joining with the Group 1 qualifying. Remember, they split into two groups, and on this, the final of the qualifying runs here on the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. They always have two, one on Friday, one on Saturday. Here's the Group 1 drivers, and then when they are done, which is just a few minutes away, the theoretical faster group, but it really hasn't proven to be that way, because if you look down at the bottom of that order, Greg Moore in the 99 car, actually he's out in the 99X, his backup car, because he had some problems, got off course with the primary car yesterday, and while he is still with this theoretically slower group, look at that, currently outside of the front row and challenging Alex Zanardi, who is the provisional pole sitter. Now, we've also had some changes this race. Emerson Fittipaldi, as you may well remember, had a big crash at the Michigan 500. There is his car. There's a Penske car with rookie stripes on the rear wing, and that is Jan Magnussen, who has taken over for Emerson Fittipaldi and Paul Tracy. He's going to actually move into the car that Emerson abandoned, but he's going to drive Paul Tracy's car for this race here. He's had a couple of exciting moments while he's been on the racetrack. A little bit earlier in this session, for example, he was coming off of turn 1 and got it wide, Danny.
Well, he just got out there a little bit. It looked like the car was pushing a little bit. He ran it out there wide. That's a very fast corner. You want to hold your speed. Once you get up over that curb, of course, as you saw the grass, and then it just launches the car. That's a big curve. But see, you saw his hands right there. Saw him moving his hand this way, meaning the car is oversteering. I talked to Rick Mears earlier, and he said their biggest problem they're having is they can't get the car to stay under Jan at this situation. It's too loose. It's oversteering. It's too much of that. And with all these tight corners, that's a big problem. You want this car around this track to have either be neutral or a touch of understeer.
Gary, you're standing right there.
Well, we're watching as Roger Penske and the entire Brain Trust, and you mentioned basically you've got all of the lieutenants and generals and foot soldiers from two teams converging on this effort for Magnussen. One of the things initially, Paul, that is of interest that they had to do is make some significant changes in the cockpit, because Magnussen is about 4 inches shorter and 45 pounds lighter than Paul Tracy. And so they had to adjust the pedals and extend them. They had to lower the seat. They had to move the seat forward just to make him fit in the cockpit that had been tailored for Paul Tracy. So all of those things, as well as trying to learn a new circuit, get him comfortable in IndyCar for the first time, has been a big learning curve for him and this team this weekend.
Of course, he's got some of the best help in Rick Mears, who's kind of there as the driving coach.
Well, not only Rick Mears, but that's one of the best teams. I mean, they'll really take care of him. You see Roger standing right there. They'll really look after him, make sure they won't put any pressure on him. Just learn to go at your own speed, learn the way you want to learn. They're behind him. They're looking at a 4-race program with him this year. As you said, they're switching to another car. But Rick Mears also told me that he drove him around the track yesterday, showed him some spots, and Jan said, this is where I'm having difficulty, and Rick helped him.
Now there's Rick Mears and Teddy Mayer. And this is also something new for the weekend, the 25 car that formerly was occupied by Jeff Krosnoff. Now they have assigned at RCR Wells, and nothing to worry about, a little steam out of the turbocharger there. They have now replaced Krosnoff with the Max Pappas, who will take over the car through the end of the season.
Yeah, and Max is doing a great job. He's having a lot of fun. I saw him last night. He said, this is really great. He says, I'm not doing everything right. I've made some mistakes, but he said, I'm having a great time. And he says, the Indy cars is a fabulous circuit. Beyond there is, of course, Stefan Johansson.
Yeah, it looks like he may have just cooked a motor.
Yeah, when you see that coming out there, and, of course, him slowing down like that, he knows he's got a problem. He'll pull off there. safety cruiser right there. If there's any kind of too hot, you see that smoke coming out of there, they'll probably douse that down a little bit with water. He pulled off in exactly the right spot.
So Stefan Johansson's qualifying session is done thus far. Stefan has been able to only pull out a 20 quick, and Pappas gets himself in trouble. Quick little slide sideways. If he kept the motor going, he should be able to get out of there. If he didn't, then that might end this session, at least for the time being, while they try and get Magnussen there too. And if he can get out of there, that was a good piece of driving.
Well, it was. I think what happened is he saw the yellow flag, but he came around and looked where the car's in the track, and he just ran a little bit wide. They're going red. That means they're going to stop the practice session. You can see it right there. Make sure he gets off, everything's safe. The reason they do that as well is these guys are out qualifying. There's only a half hour, limited amount of time. They want everybody to get the maximum amount of green time with a good, clean track. But you see he's going again, so they'll probably go red just for a second, get Johansson out of the way, make sure Pappas is back, get everything cleaned up, and go back to green.
So the two brand new rookies involved right together there, Max Pappas and Jan Magnussen. Pappas takes a quick little spin, no problem, and then immediately Magnussen comes off the course. They are red for the moment. We do expect them to go back to green flag racing fairly quickly here as soon as they check and make sure that there's no debris up on the course. We're back at the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course as Group 1 IndyCar qualifying for tomorrow's Miller 200 continues. Greg Moore has made the greatest progress in the session, moving up to second quick. Mauricio Gugelmin, also in this same group, is now fifth quick, so they're invading the times that were set down by the group about to come out, Group 2 qualifying. And a few moments ago, of course, we had a situation, Stefan Johansson first blew an engine, and then almost immediately we had Max Pappas in trouble. That's going down into 4, and then shortly thereafter, Jan Magnussen also got into trouble. Now Pappas is back on the circuit right now. They made some repairs to the right front wing, but Jan, because what was the story there?
Well, first of all, the story from Max Pappas was, Paul, that he lost it in the oil left by Stefan Johansson. But now he comes into the pits because when he left, after that front wing repair, they now think they may have an engine problem. You saw a lot of smoke earlier when they started the machine that came from the turbocharger. Well, that smoke seems to have become worse, and as he left here, there was a bit of a streak of fluid as he left. So the day and qualifying might be over for the Toyota power plant of Max Pappas.
Yeah, and while we didn't get a glimpse of it while he was pulling out of the pits, we did see it like a pumping vapor. They're definitely pulling him out of the car. So his first qualification in the IndyCars is now complete. Mauricio Gugelmin, we mentioned that he moved up to fifth quick. He's still there, but he's now, as we move to the final minutes, has an opportunity to improve on that time.
Now, Big Mo is a great qualifier. He's getting the most out of that car, and I talked to him this morning after the final practice. See just a little bit up over the curve there, nothing to worry about. And he felt really like they'd made a lot of progress with the car.
Mauricio Gugelmin, his first race in an IndyCar came right at this circuit in 1993. While we're thinking about it, a Penske car with rookie stripes. What Magnussen has on the back wing of the car, the 3 vertical stripes on each side. When was the last time that you saw such a thing? Can you think? Let's go to Jan while you're thinking about it.
Okay.
Well, while you're thinking about that, Danny, let's talk to Max Pappas, who's got out of the car. Now, you had a pretty good run going, and you hit some oil of Stefan Johansson's. Is that what caused the spin, the oil from Johansson?
Yeah, that was unfortunate because we were just going for a very, very good time. And I guess, when I stopped, we had Magnussen in front, 1/10. We could have beat him, but, now we just stopped because I think, that oil problem caused not to be too fast.
Now, for you, is there a little bit of a battle of the rookies? Both you and Magnussen are starting here, and you're so close in times. I mean, you have different power plants, but is it kind of a race within a race for you?
Yeah, but it's like, we are on a development program. He's on a Penske. So it's a big difference, Already being 1/10 is very nice. And, it's all the time, you want to be fast. You want to be faster and faster and faster, It's never enough. But, I'm used to winning WSA. And, I hope to take this program winning as well.
He's got a lot of work to do, but he earned the nickname Mad Max when he was in IMSA, Paul.
Yeah, they are saying now, most of the competitors, as we watch the 99 car of Greg Moore turn
say that I'm going to take the credit for all this, but thanks to Russ Thompson, we came up with Mike Fackwell in 1984. Remember, Rick had gotten hurt at Sanair, and he replaced him at the end of the season. Driving, though, do you know what kind of car? A PC what? 10. And the reason I know I tested that car at Laguna Seca.
Less than a minute left in the session. Since you've done that, there is another silence. Rick Mears carried rookie stripes when he first came to Penske.
Yes, but you said when was the last rookie?
I know, but now that you were so smart, I had to add that in. I had to go for something extra. Cross the line once more. He does not improve on the time. This is the man that has a chance to take the provisional pole, now occupied by Alex Zanardi away. Zanardi's a 67.32, and right now Greg Moore is a 67.42. They count down the final sessions, and you look for the checkered flag to come out to end the session. But even though the session is over, everybody on the lap right now is capable of putting a time down that would put them in the qualifying field. And last year at this very same qualifying, we had several times change after the end of the final session, so we'll watch for that.
I don't think Greg Moore is going to do it. It looked like he backed off after he went by that last time. He slowed down there. You can see him. He's just going to cruise into the pits.
So Greg Moore, for the moment at least, sits second quick with a 67.421. But since many of the cars in this session substantially improved on their time from Friday qualifying, and with cloud cover overhead, you may see the second group of qualifiers should be one great fight. The clouds have moved in as we look at the qualifying as it stands right now. But remember, Group 2 qualifiers are yet to come out, and with cloud cover overhead, the track will cool, and it should make for some extraordinarily quick times as we look at further qualifying for the Miller 200 IndyCars at the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. Qualifying here today, the race tomorrow. At the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course, we're in that quiet session right now in between the two groups. And let's go down first and see how the rookies have dealt with this, and start with Gary Gerould.
Paul, it's a great opportunity when you have a chance to introduce a new face to IndyCar racing, and for many of us, this is the first opportunity. Jan Magnussen from Denmark, 23 years of age, in his first IndyCar ride, and I know you've had a lot thrown at you here in a short period of time. How comfortable do you feel after 2 days now in qualifying for your first IndyCar event?
I mean, I feel quite comfortable. I think we've been a little bit unlucky with the choice of track. So it's quite difficult around here, but you know, we're working hard. It's can't really get the car right for me, so I mean, we're struggling a little bit, but you know, I feel quite comfortable. Everyone's helping as much as they can.
Is that the toughest task when you're seeing a racetrack for the very first time, to find a comfort zone and find the line that you want and that can be the fastest?
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, you had an incident there when Max Pappas got crossed up in the oil of Stefan Johansson, and you had to dive off the course. You got through the sand trap. Was that a frightening or scary moment at all?
It's a little, in the beginning, it was a little bit frightening because I didn't know what was on the other side of. We went downhill and I couldn't see what was down there. So I just went down there and through the sand trap and onto the track again. So.
Feeling any pressure here in this ride with the Penske team?
Not really. I think the most pressure I get is from myself. So.
Well, you're doing a great job. Continue. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
This week.
Well, let's find out to play this waiting game when you know you're in the front row for the moment, and it may.
Same as ever. Michigan a long time, and then Alex and Jimmy both went out and pit me. But you know, as long as we're in the top 5, top 6, I'm not really concerned because it's a long race here in Mid-Ohio.
Big gains today after all the problems you chased, electronic gremlins and stuff yesterday.
Yeah, we had some boost problems yesterday. The car wasn't handling right, and you know, the players team did a good job of getting me, you know, back into the swing of things. And we changed our backup car this morning, and it really paid off because we went a lot faster.
Don't bite your fingernails.
Thanks a lot,
Paul.
But you know, coming into this race, it is important for him in one regard. Greg Moore is tied right now for the lead in the Rookie of the Year standings with none other than Alex Zanardi. He started in the top 8 the last 4 races. We take a look at the Group 2 qualifiers. These are the guys that are going to come out now. And again, the theoretically fastest, or at least those who are not speed disadvantaged in some way. And the focus here will be not only Zanardi, but certainly, as Danny Sullivan mentioned a few moments ago, Bobby Rahal, because it is his home track. He has a couple of victories here, and goes without saying, you got to keep track of Jimmy Vasser in the 12 car.
And I think the important thing for Jimmy, of course, is he's really got to get some points. He wants to have a good result. He's faltered a little bit, not his fault or the team's fault. They just lost a little bit of momentum, and he's got to get that back. They had a pole at Michigan. They were looking good. Did not have a good result. He needs one on these road courses.
Jan?
The guys that Alex Zanardi is most worried about, Paul, you mentioned Bobby Rahal, but the man a lot of people are talking about to watch out for in this session is Brian Herta. He has done a lot of testing here. He did the testing, the original testing for Goodyear, and of course has done so many miles here in his Indy Lights career, being with Tasman and now being based locally with Rahal. He was the second quickest in this morning's session, and of course, remember, it was very, very close between he on Goodyear's and Zanardi on Firestone's. This tire battle has really heated up, Paul.
Well, not only the tire battle, take a look at some of the engine configuration that we're seeing. Right now, as you look at the grid, you're going to sit with first a Honda and then two Mercedes. And also you have Michael Andretti sitting 6th quick right now. And he, of course, is a Ford Cosworth. Bobby Rahal, as he warms up. Alex Zanardi, got a glimpse of him as he was warming up as well. He started on the front row in the last 4 races. But Rahal has just mile upon mile upon mile on this circuit. And it is a subtle circuit where experience can pay off.
Well, absolutely. There's not an ideal line that you would think, okay, I want to take this line and go through this apex. There's grip in different places. Up at the keyhole, you run a very tight line and have to hold it in there so that you put the power down coming off of the keyhole onto that very important back straightaway. You see Bobby entering the keyhole. See, he's right down on the inside, all the way around, and then he lets it go right at the end. If you get outside of that, you've got a big problem because it's way too slippery.
You know, I ran into an interesting thing talking to a couple of the drivers this weekend, and that is we talk about the onboard computers and how helpful they are, showing you the line and really doing comparisons with what is a theoretical good lap and all the data that they provide. But the computer doesn't always understand that on a road course, sometimes you don't brake to the maximum or you don't take the best line for that corner because you're giving away for other parts.
Well, that's right. It's a compromise around here, and you've got to somewhat save your brakes. You don't want to be in there too deep. Also, guys brake in different ways. Some guys are very hard on brakes. Some guys are very easy. See Christian Fittipaldi, look at him moving that wheel through there. You're trying to be smooth. He just went over a big brow there, almost comes off the ground. Now he's going along here. Now this one right here, the car almost comes off the ground, right up over there, and just drops away the other side. Braking out here, turning back in. Again, a brow. See his wheel? He corrected it, goes out the outside. A lot of up and downs. And those concrete patches that you see right there are slippery compared to the other surface. Down the inside here, very important. Hugs it in there tight. Important to get the power on now for onto the straightaway. See him moving that wheel. It's very tricky there.
Christian Fittipaldi, Jan Beekes is right now 11.
Yeah, I was just going to say, Paul, talking about Christian Fittipaldi, not only are you seeing everything that he does behind the cockpit, he just received a radio communication from the Newman Haas team saying you can go up one more click on boost. So remember, it's not just shifting gears and working the wheel. They also have to get all the management pieces as far as the trim for fuel and the boost right where they want it for qualifying.
Well, while we watch Christian Fittipaldi keeping an eye too, we mentioned Jimmy Vasser. Christian really overcooks the brakes there. Vasser just pushed more off the front row, moved to 67.36. Zanardi is 67.32. Think of how close that one is.
And just when we came on the camera, you saw Jimmy up over that yellow curb there. I don't know if you got to see it coming on that back straight. He's using every inch of the road here.
So the front row is now the Ganassi teammates, Alex Zanardi and Jimmy Vasser, with Greg Moore and Bobby Rahal in row 2. The big improvement thus far, of course, has been Jimmy Vasser moving on to the front row, and Brian Herta just moved into 5th quick. So they're picking up the speeds at Mid-Ohio. Back at the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course and keeping an eye on Jimmy was a terrific one. 67.10. Vassar grabs the pole.
That is a big jump. He went up a couple tenths there. He's right behind his teammate. He's right behind his teammate. That'll actually louse up that lap. See, he's had to lift off there. See the yellow flag in the top of your screen? Somebody's off, probably right here in this corner.
We had a report that Parker Johnstone was off in one section of the course.
And see, they both came into the pits. But that is, everybody's been whittling away. Jimmy went up 2 tenths one time, then the next time 2 more tenths. He's jumped up. Brian Herta's jumped up into 3rd spot. Greg Moore's been moved down to 4th. Bobby Rahal to 5th. Andretti moved up to 6th and moved Mauricio Gugelmin, who was 5th after his session, down to 7th spot.
And Brian Herta moved up into 3rd position, so Brian Herta very definitely on the move as well. So with that change, Jimmy Vassar on the provisional pole, and then Alex Zanardi on the outside of the front row, but both of those cars are in the pits. They should go out to the track very quickly. Then Brian Herta and Greg Moore in row 2. Bobby Rahal is 5th quick in row 3 with Michael Andretti alongside Mauricio Gugelmin and then Andre Ribeiro. Andre Ribeiro, who has just been pushed a little backwards. He was 8th quick, and he was just eclipsed by Roel Boisel, who moved into 8th fast position. And Alex Zanardi has just grabbed the pole back with a 67.048. They're getting down close to the track record, 66.836. Just a couple of tenths away now. The record held by Villeneuve from last year. That's 121.192 miles an hour.
Well, Zanardi jumped up that 3 tenths as well, so they're making big gains. I'm not so sure we haven't heard we're going to hear a little bit more from Jimmy Vassar, but one thing, Boisel, he's having a good run, one of the better ones they've had all season, because they've been frustrated quite a bit, having coming off that championship year with Barry Green Racing.
Now we're back running after a red flag. Parker Johnstone was off the course, John.
Yes, and we checked with his engineer, Ed Nathman, and he said that Parker ran into trouble going into Thunder Valley. He's had trouble all weekend with the car on the bumps. The car got unsettled on the bumps. He lost it, and that, of course, is their only car. They don't have a spare car, but Ed Nathman felt he was confident they could get it fixed for this race weekend. Now, quick update on the Target Ganassi team. First of all, on Zanardi, and then also on Vassar. They were in here during the red flag period to make some changes. On Zanardi's car, they went to the back of the car and took out a couple of the bump rubbers that are what are on the 3rd spring. Now with Ganassi and with the Reynard, they don't actually use a spring, they use bump rubbers. What that does, it keeps the car from bottoming. They still have a left and a right rear spring. It's just what they call a 3rd spring or 3rd bump control that helps keep the rear of the car off the racetrack. The 3rd item is that we are getting some overcast skies, and that's why we're having faster speeds.
Alex Zanardi, currently the pole, scored 6 bonus points thus far this year. Might be on his way to another one. The front row is still Target Ganassi Racing with Zanardi and Vassar. Bobby Rahal, 5th quick, knows this circuit pretty well, Gary.
Yes, indeed. He started the day in the front row, 2nd quick, and then, of course, in that early session, Greg Moore bumped him from that spot. Rahal now down to 5th. He has come in complaining that the car has some understeer, wants to push through the corners, and so they're making substantial changes here, changing springs, among other things, both front and rear, and so they're getting close to the point where they'll get him back on track shortly, and we'll see if those adjustments pay off for Bobby Rahal. Meanwhile, his teammate, Brian Herta, has jumped up from, I believe, the 8th spot to the 3rd spot. He's running very strong, obviously.
Brian Herta inside of the 2nd row, exactly right. Came out of the session yesterday down in 6th position, and so he jumps up 3 positions to move into 3rd. Still, the story of the day is that front row, and Alex Zanardi is sitting on the pole, and Vassar is sitting 2nd quick.
Well, everybody is getting toward the end of the session, so everybody's coming in with those little fine-tuning adjustments that they want to make to try to get the most out of their car. They'll do those, probably stay on the same set of tires, and then make sure those adjustments work, put another set of tires on, and go for that last bonsai run to try to get up to the front.
Track record was at 66.836, and Zanardi at 66.813. You had mentioned, Danny, he was nibbling away at it as we watched Gil de Ferran. And on this year in which the cars are theoretically a little bit slower, mostly on super speedways, but also on road courses.
Yes, and look up there. Zanardi has jumped up to 66.183. That's another big move. I think we've got to see some response out of Jimmy Vasser.
Absolutely. And Vasser, of course, much more than Zanardi, needs the points. He wants to stay in the championship fight.
You know what happens when you're in a team, too, where you got two guys going fast, having been there with Rick Mears, sometimes when that other guy is jumping up and making changes, you've really got to focus and stay on your car and not run over and take what they've changed on their car and add it to yours, because sometimes those don't add up.
You know, you talk about those bonus points, 1 point for getting on the pole, another one for leading the most laps. Zanardi has earned enough of them this year that he's equal to 7th place finish, so that can be very important. We watched DeFerrin, Gary Gerald.
And Bobby, Rahal's teammate Brian Herta has just come in. Unlike Rahal, they have stayed with the same spring and shock configuration. They changed or checked air pressure. Now they've decided they're going to go with fresh set of Goodyear, so they've got their final qualifying set now in place. These are sticker tires. We expect that he'll be coming off the jacks and be fired up here in just a matter of moments, and we'll look for Brian Herta to make another run to try to improve on that current third-place standing.
Well, the teammate Bobby Rahal, Brian Herta, rolls back into the fight, or at least into the qualifying. Here is Al Unser Jr. Not having his greatest of weekends. 15 quick right now for the defending two-time champion here.
Yeah, and you saw him come over that brow there, sliding the car out up on the curb. He's not putting the power down the way that he wants to. This is a two-time winner here. This guy knows the track.
Interesting comparisons happening in the Penske pits this weekend. They're actually physically separate. You have Jan Magnussen down at one end, and then a great veteran, and the fellow who's won the last 2 races here, Al Unser Jr., in the other pit for Penske, Jan Bigas.
Well, yes. Well, you had a great shot, and Danny mentioned it, as you saw the Penske car of Al Unser Jr. go over that brow and the car get loose. That has been what Penske has been struggling with somewhat this weekend. Spoke with Jeff Ryan, who's in charge of the Penske Shocks organization, said for some reason the Penske car is not responding well to rebound changes. Now, normally, when you put rebound into the car, it helps hold it down and keeps it from becoming light over those brows. That's where they seem to be struggling. Every time they put it in, for some reason, it actually slows the car down.
Al Unser Jr. only has 7 career poles, and one of them came here in 1994. But still today, another lap down, and he is no better than 15th. There's some vibration out of that front wing. Was that just under heavy braking?
Well, he's coming in here under heavy braking. You see that? There's some bumps in the road there. And we've seen that almost all year long on the Penske. That in slow-mo looks a lot worse than it does in regular speed. But I guess that's the way they designed the car, because Penske's been running it like that all season long. See the little on the lower right-hand edge there? I think it touches that and starts bouncing it back up and down.
So Zanardi's still on the pole provisionally. New track record. Jimmy Vasser alongside, but there is still a counting clock here at Mid-Ohio for the Miller 200 qualifying. That is certainly capable, and his 7th quick, Brian Herta, just moved onto the front row with a 66.878. There he is, just a tick behind Zanardi, not over the record as Zanardi was, but what it accomplishes is pushes Jimmy Vasser down into the inside of the 2nd row.
Paul, what we saw there too was, I think Brian was the first guy to go onto his new tires. We got that cloud cover we've been talking about for everybody. That helps a lot because it cools everything down just a touch of shade, and he's gone out and posted a quicker time that's actually in the 66s as well. I think at the end we're going to see a lot of guys moving around here in this next 5 or 10 minutes.
And Gary Gerald, a good power comparison, because now we have Honda Mercedes on the front row.
Yeah, and I think that the folks at Goodyear have got to be delighted too, because the Rahal team runs on Goodyear. And keep in mind that this is a modified version of the option tire they tried at Cleveland without success. They went back into the laboratory, they refined, retuned, remodified, and they came up with a tire that they thought everybody would be on the option this weekend would be much better. And right now, certainly for Brian Herta, it's paying off. Rahal, meanwhile, has gone out on fresh sticker tires. You mentioned Michael Andretti, his teammate Christian Fittipaldi, also on his final set of tires. And we just saw Alex Zanardi go by us. I'm assuming he'll get his final set. So we're getting ready for action here in this last 8 minutes.
You know, there was an interesting comparison done for me by Teddy Mayer as we watch Adrian Fernandez, who currently is 5th quick and is certainly also capable of charging up and grabbing off one of the top spots at any time here. But I was talking with Teddy Mayer of Penske Racing, and he said, you know, at the Michigan 500, we really finally got a good comparison, several different power plants and chassis with Firestone tires, and on a super speedway, they may be 4 miles an hour faster.
Yeah, that was a good comparison. The problem is, like Teddy was talking about, you've got Ford, Mercedes, Honda, Toyota, Firestone, Goodyear, Lola, everything. And now you put them all in the mix, they don't always come out together, because you can say, well, those guys, for example, are running around in a Lola right there, but the pole is currently held in a Reynard, even though they got the same tires and the same engine. So it's a very confusing way to figure out exactly what the best combination is.
Watching Fernandez, Jan Bigas.
Well, Paul, one of the things we do when we first come to a race weekend is we check in with all those manufacturers, whether it be Reynard or Lola. And then we also check in with Firestone, Goodyear, also Mercedes, Ford. Well, there's not too many changes that we haven't already documented, with the exception of the Phase 2 power plant that Mercedes is using. Now, we saw that in Michigan, but here for the first time, they're using more revs on the Mercedes, and they feel from their radar test from yesterday and earlier today that they feel they have the fastest car at the moment down the back straightaway. Alex Zanardi, by the way, checking in with Chip Ganassi, just left on sticker tires.
And Michael Andretti's stickers paid off for him, just moved to 4th quick with a 67.18. There he is.
Yeah, Michael, of course, knows this place well. He likes it. It suits his style. He likes to throw the car around here a lot. Very physical.
6 minutes to go this qualifying session. Again, power plant comparisons in the front rows. Zanardi, Honda, Herta, Mercedes, Vasser, Honda, Michael Andretti, Ford, Cosworth. Counting under 6 minutes now. Everybody moving for those last second attempts to make the change that will really help, and the cloud cover moves over. And so the course surface certainly is cooling. Watch as we follow Michael around here to see if the cloud cover is affecting everything. I think it is, but we'll just keep an eye on Michael. And now we'll switch to, there's Christian Fittipaldi and Raul Boisel. We're going to watch Raul a bit here. Raul currently 8th quick, 67.59, outside row 4. A lot of talk about what happens next year. Jimmy Vasser just took the pole away from Zanardi, 66.62.
That was a huge jump for him. He moved up 4/10. I mean, he's doing this in leaps and bounds. I'll tell you, Greg Moore said in his interview he'd like to stay in the top 5 or 6. He's got to be worried about that right now.
He's going to be stretching to stay there. He's 5th right now. Jimmy Vasser still on the circuit. And we'll keep an eye on Zanardi, too. But, of course, both Herta and Michael Andretti could make a move at any moment here. So Jimmy Vasser has once again moved back onto the pole, eclipsing his teammate. And, again, it's a Target Ganassi front row. But it's not over yet. How does he respond? Alex Zanardi just crosses the line, can't improve on his time enough to get onto the pole. He sits at a 66.8, his best time outside the front row. Jimmy Vasser, his teammate, just moved back onto the pole. Adrian Fernandez just moved up a bit too, and Scott Pruitt jumped up into 5th place. So Greg Moore, who wanted to be in the front rows, was 5th, now moves to 6th. But how will Zanardi respond to Jimmy Vasser's pole position? Couldn't do it on the last lap. Can he do it on this one?
Well, I'm watching his line, and he's got it very precise. He looks good there. He's putting down the power, which is so important around here. You know, if anybody can do it, he's stolen a couple of poles in those last minute or two.
Chip Ganassi, of course, the owner of the team. He's on the two-way radio. radio, keeps track of both of his drivers. Jan Beekes.
To give you an update on Zanardi, remember he was one of the last drivers to leave here on fresh tires.
And Zanardi did it.
Celebrating. They've done it, Paul.
He did it. Zanardi just moved to the pole. 66.43. But Vassar's still out with about 2 minutes to go. This is great. This is marvelous.
Paul, the part that amazes me the most is they're not moving up in tenths or thousandths or hundredths of seconds. They're doing it like 3 and 4 at a time. He went from an 8 to a 66.4.
And the third new track record of the session as Zanardi lures it. And we keep watching the clock. How now will Vassar respond to the challenge that Zanardi has laid out? The fight is within the team with a minute and a half to go now. Brian Herta also one to watch, as is Michael Andretti. Herta and Michael are currently the second row. Gary Gerald.
Michael Andretti, his qualifying effort is complete. Just got a quick word with him, and I said, is there a problem? He said, no, tires were just gone. We couldn't squeeze any more out. I said, well, Vassar and Zanardi having quite a battle up front. And he said one word, horsepower.
Honda horsepower. And Zanardi's just done it. Zanardi jumps back to the pole, 66.33. So the track record gets lowered again. We move into the final minute of qualifying. Who's going to hold on to the pole? The game now goes to Jimmy Vassar. Jan Beekes?
Well, you know that commercial that Target has about the good friends Jimmy Vassar and Alex Zanardi? Well, they're calling him on the radio to Jimmy Vassar, and it says, well, your good pal Alex Zanardi just beat you by 2 tenths.
Yeah, but still some time to go. And Zanardi and Pruitt are still on the track. So Jan Beekes, if you're still with us, what you're saying is that Vassar is not going to have a chance to respond.
No, I don't think so. He went out on his new tires, and in fact, we see his car sitting here on pit road. So there will not be a response from Vassar. You go out there on your new tires, like Michael Andretti told Gary Gerald, there's only so many laps you can get out of them. And right now, he's going to have to be satisfied with the front row.
Oh, Christian Fittipaldi was able to move to 5th on his last lap. So the top positions are Zanardi, Vassar, Herta, Andretti, Fittipaldi, Scott Pruitt, Greg Moore, Adrian Fernandez, Bobby Rahal, and Andre Ribeiro. That's your top 10 as the checkered flag comes out. But the session comes to an end, and Alex Zanardi, after we've watched the track record go down and down and down, snatches the pole away from his teammate, Jimmy Vassar. We'll talk to him when he comes back. So the grid is set for tomorrow's Miller 200 for the IndyCars with Alex Zanardi taking the pole. We're going to show you the whole thing here. He broke the track record by nearly a half a second, 0.497, or a full mile an hour, 0.908. It's Zanardi's third pole of the year and the 5th race in a row. He has started either in first or second position. Let's go to Gary Gerald.
Well, here they are, the teammates who've been the terrors at Mid-Ohio thus far. Alex, congratulations. This was a tremendous battle with your teammate. You obviously have found a comfort zone here that's pretty amazing.
Yeah, that's right. Jimmy managed to put me a lot of pressure, and obviously he was trying his best. I was doing my best, and we made a last adjustment in the car, which made a big difference, and that's why I was finally able to get him back in front of my teammate. So I'm very happy with the result.
Well, Jimmy, I don't know how happy you missed one of those precious points by just the narrowest, a blink of an eye.
Yeah, that's the way it goes, and you know, you can tell that there's no real help going on when your own teammate starts taking points from you. So, you know, it's a fight to the finish for the points all by myself around here.
It'll be a great battle tomorrow. Congratulations, gentlemen.
All right, thanks.
Jan?
Well, Gary, it was a fight on the other end of pit lane as well with Brian Herta. That was a great run for you, but it seemed like at the end you lost a little bit of speed.
Well, on the last run we tried to make the motor kind of start going off there, so we thought we'd bring it back in instead of blowing it up. But yeah, I think that's about all we had for him today. I'm just really happy the shell car ran really well, and looking forward to the race tomorrow.
And of course, he's on Goodyear tires on the second row with Michael Andretti. Should be good, Paul.
Yeah, some wonderful comparisons in the front 2 rows, both in tires, power plants, and chassis.
IndyCars are back on Eurosport after a hiatus during the Olympic coverage with the Miller 200 from Lexington, Ohio, and the fabulous twists and turns of the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course, the scene for round 13 of the kart IndyCar World Series. And what a sensation qualifying proved to be. The two targets, Chip Ganassi racing cars, battling it out, duking below the overall lap record set last year by Jacques Villeneuve for pole position, and it was Italian Alex Zanardi who edged out Jimmy Vasser to take that first spot on the grid. Both teammates laughing and joking afterwards about stealing points from each other, but of course they're stealing points from everyone else. Now in Jimmy Vasser's rearview mirror are three drivers who have dominated on the road courses this year. Christian Fittipaldi, 52 points and 2 podium appearances. Gilles de Ferran, 65 road course points and a victory at Cleveland. And this man, Al Unser Jr., 25 of 31 of his race wins taken on a road course. So with 4 races left, all of them on road courses, is Jimmy Vasser going to see them in the mirror or disappearing into the middle distance ahead of him? Well, that is something that is going to be answered, hopefully, during the course of this afternoon. Now, you can see the scene live there at Lexington as the cars get pushed away. And here are the point standings. It couldn't be closer if a Hollywood scriptwriter had a hand in it. Vasser and the recovering Al Unser Jr., after a dismal early season, are just separated by a single point. Brazil's Gilles de Ferran and Christian Fittipaldi hot on their heels as the cars go away on the first of their green flag laps. And the whole grid represented here, with the exception, of course, of Emerson Fittipaldi. There are the two men on the front row of the grid, and Alex Zanardi closest to us with that fastest slot. Now, new on the grid for the first time in IndyCars, we just saw Max Papis, and there Jan Magnussen, the two new boys. Magnussen in the what would have been Paul Tracy Penske, and Max Papis moving over for his first IndyCar start. He will miss the next round, though, as he goes back to defend his joint lead of the IMSA Championship Series. Now, speaking of Emerson Fittipaldi, these pictures from the last race at Michigan, of course, now familiar the world over.
I think the most looks like I'm not going to race again. I will not race again. I'm not 100% sure because I need some more reflection, but I got a very strong message from the Lord.
Well, after a long, successful career that spanned championship victories in IndyCars and, of course, in the 70s in Formula One, it seems as though Emerson Fittipaldi has been given a life-saving, perhaps, message. That's certainly the way he has taken his survival from near death after that Michigan shunt. And you heard the words there, as had been possibly anticipated. Emerson Fittipaldi seems to be out of IndyCar racing, but very much at the forefront now, Alex Zanardi and Jimmy Vasser, using their Honda engines, using their Reynard chassis, and using their Firestone tyres to dominate qualifying. Brian Herter came closest, but like Michael Andretti, ran out of good, fresh rubber to use in the battle for the front row. Third row of the grid, Christian Fittipaldi and Scott Pruitt, followed by Greg Moore, who looked very feisty in qualifying, and another of the Rahal team cars, Bobby Rahal, with countless miles on this road course under his belt on row 5. Working our way back down the grid, all Brazilian row 6, with Bozell and Maurizio Gugelmin. Row 7, Britain's Mark Blundell, and another Brazilian, Gilles de Ferran, and he's a man like Blundell who should do very well on this tight, twisty course. Al Jr. has won the last 2 races here, but starting 15th on the grid. Chances look slightly more slender. Jan Magnussen, excellent on the outside of row 9 in his first ever IndyCar start. And Max Papis, the other brand new newcomer, the other new rookie, the fastest of the Toyota-powered cars, right behind him. Best of the Eagles was Juan Fangio on the outside of row 11, and PJ Jones lines up directly behind him on row 12. Eliseo Salazar returning to IndyCars and making up the back of the grid along with Hiro Matsushita. So as the drivers perform the traditional tyre warming ceremonies, the view ahead, and again from the nose of Bobby Rahal's car, around this very picturesque course, tight, twisty, and a lot of blind brows. The drivers are really going to be earning their living here. Jimmy Vasser following his teammate, and there's a shot that Jimmy Vasser won't want to have seen repeated, hopefully after the flag. He will want to get right ahead of Alex Zanardi. Whether he does or not, of course, is an entirely different matter. Christian Fittipaldi weaving some warmth into the tyres. These radials need a bit of warming. And you see the concrete patches mixed in with the older tarmac sections, giving a variety of different grip levels here on this road course. Interestingly, if you're called Unser or Fittipaldi, you seem to have a relatively good chance of success. Al Jr. has won the last 2 races. Prior to that, it was back-to-back wins for Emerson. Back-to-back wins for Michael Andretti just preceded that as well. Alex Zanardi, courtesy of his point for pole position, just edging his way ahead there in the rookies. But as this race starts to get underway, let's join our American team, Paul Page and Danny Sullivan.
And so they start in one place, they finish in another. There are your passing zones and your trouble zones. As we're ready now to roll to the start at the Mid-Ohio 200, the Miller 200 here in Mid-Ohio. There is the starting area. You saw it there. This is turn 1. They'll move into formation after they get through this corner, and then we'll be ready to go. The 2 Target Ganassi cars on the front row.
Well, and everybody's jockeying right now. They're trying to warm up their tires. They got to get them a lot of heat on them because they go into the S's, a lot of tight corners right there. The reason they start on the back straightaway is because that front straightaway is so short. They want to give everybody plenty of room to sort themselves out and have a good, clean start.
Boy, there's a great view as now downhill. Green flag should lie just ahead. Zanardi surges way ahead. And they go green. So Zanardi pulls way ahead right at the start. And now into the first corner. Puff of brake smoke. DeFerrin gets in trouble, goes off course. And that's a very dangerous section. Fortunately, he wasn't up to top speed, but getting that car out of there is going to be very difficult for Gilles DeFerrin. And remember, he's one of the key people in that points fight.
Well, that really cost him right there. Like I said in the beginning of the show, you got to get maximum amount of points. You can't have any problems go. He's not going to do a very good job in here. That sand's supposed to get in there, and he'll lose too much ground.
If he doesn't dig in, he might get out of there. Here's what happened. Coming down into the green, look way over to the right there.
At the back of your screen, that black, see, he locks up. He just locks up. And he taps the car in front of him that looks like it was one of the Pac West cars.
Crucialman.
And he just locked it up. He just got in there too deep.
And the course marshals are reporting that Mark Blundell has a flat tire. We've gone to full course caution right here on the start. That's going to help Gilles DeFerrin. They'll be able to get him out of the sand trap, and hopefully he will be back into the race.
So a very unfortunate start for Gilles DeFerrin, and Mark Blundell with a flat tyre. Well, it doesn't seem that flat from the pictures here, so it was clearly the other Pac West car. No. It was not indeed Blundell, but Gugelmin, as Danny Sullivan correctly called. And that was him being tapped up the back by Gilles DeFerrin. And Gilles DeFerrin locked up so hard and so early, perhaps he had a problem other than just brain fade. Just at the bottom edge of the picture, this big puff of smoke, and he cannons in as if he's on a different lap entirely, and he's fully up to speed. Now, this huge runoff area, of course, is all short grass, and that means no grip whatsoever. He did get it going in reverse, but then stopped. I rather thought perhaps he had the momentum to get out of the gravel traps there. Gugelmin right at the back of the field. Gilles DeFerrin, of course, stranded, beached, and although he was still in the car, may be left in the gravel traps. The yellow's out. They threw the yellow, well, 100 yards into the first run. So Alex Zanardi, that great, if somewhat over-ambitious start perhaps. Quite how the start has let him get away with that, anybody knows. He is already losing that advantage. The rest of the field closing right up behind, of course. So he'll have to do it all again. One lap down, one less lap to go. But effectively, the race still to be run. So as they reassemble themselves, we'll rejoin Paul Page and Danny Sullivan.
Well, they try to get with DeFerrin in the cockpit. Never seen that before. They're trying to get him out to the edge of the course. And Mauricio Guzman, by the way, was the one with flatted tires. They are under full course caution, and it looks like they're doing a little more work than just that.
Well, I think he got hit pretty hard there by Gil DeFerrin. See, we're in the screen. They're not in it yet. Here comes Mauricio. You'll see him come in there with the red. Boom! He just rams him right in the back hard. That probably cut his tire, but it might have done some suspension damage. That's why he's still in the pit if it was just a tire. And the reason they're taking DeFerrin, see, they're going to try to get him off there, pull him, he'll jump start the engine. See, his nose is all black down there. That's where I think he hit Mauricio. And then what will happen is they'll give him a tow start. He'll go in and get new tires and try to get back out. But I got to tell you, Paul, unless everybody else has a problem, his race in terms of the points today are over, because he'll be 3-4 laps behind by the time he gets out.
Yeah, it looks that way. Let's go to Gary Gerald.
Well, we're just standing by with the crew down here, and they've gone over the wall, and they've got fresh Goodyears out there, and they're hoping that they will see their car very shortly. He can get in here, and they're anxious. Obviously, great disappointment, because everybody's so pumped, so primed. They know the critical importance of this race, and now they've been deflated with this incident right after the green flag. So a very, very tough break for Gil DeFerrin. We'll just wait with the crew and see what happens. Paul?
Well, the crew sits there, they wait. They have no idea what might be occurring on that race car, what damage there might be. And Guzman continues to sit in the pits as well. Jack?
Well, let's update you on Mauricio Guzman. They changed the tire. Now they want to check through with the luxury of this full course yellow. All of the suspension pieces, make sure that they don't miss something. Let's update you on a couple of issues. Number one, Jimmy Vasser, before the start of the race, was on the radio complaining about his teammate. He said Alex Zanardi wasn't giving him the proper room. He said he's going to try and jump me on the start. Nobody answered him. There's also been a major change in Alex Zanardi's pit crew today. You see, earlier today, Rick Davis, who changes the inside rear tire, they think he may have suffered a broken foot while he was pushing a big toolbox out here to the pits. So the team has had to scramble. They've added Simon Hodgson to the inside front tire changing position, moved Rob Hill. Remember Rob? He was the guy that came down with Lyme disease. He's moved to the inside rear, replacing Davis, and Philby will stay right where he's been.
And green flag comes out as Zanardi leads him down. Look at Ray Hall and Ribeiro as they both jumped underneath of Greg Moore.
Hey, Greg Moore's got some kind of a problem. Everybody went by him. He was getting past. He was that bright blue and white car that you saw on the outside of your screen. He was getting smoked.
Michael Andretti chases Brian Herta back to the front. The 4 cars, the pole sitter Alex Zanardi. There is Moore, and he's in trouble. Remember that rookie points battle we were telling you about. 1 point separates Zanardi and Moore. Another story. DeFerrin is in problems in terms of trying to catch up. Now Moore, some sort of mechanical problem that's going to affect that fight.
Now Jimmy Vasser was complaining about his teammate not giving him room. I think his teammate's pulling away from him at a pretty steady move right there.
And it looked there like Jimmy was very loose coming over the top of that one hill.
Paul, what happens here a lot of times too, if you don't get your tires up to temperature on those yellows when you're moving them around, this first laps around here, he might be conservative on them, trying to hold those tires together for as long as he can, so he's got them at the end of the run.
Brian Herta, Michael Andretti in pursuit. DeFerrin coming out of the pits. So they've got him back underway, but he's well back. That's just brake smoke ahead as somebody jammed down on the brakes hard. This is the keyhole.
Well, that's Michael Andretti. He's chasing Brian Herta. And, of course, he's got Scott Pruitt in your screen right there, right behind him.
Pruitt, then Christian Fittipaldi. On board, Christian Fittipaldi now.
Now, Paul, what you'll really see here is watch his hands and how physical this track is. And see, they've got no brake. He turned right, now he's left. He's up over this sharp hill, gets a little light there. Down out here, he's got a brake. The car wants to go left, up over that hill again. Off there, now he comes up through this corner here. Now he's got a sharp left-hander, a short, just a squirt on the throttle, brake hard. This is a tricky corner, the carousel. Around this, very important to come off here with the power, left-hander. See how much his hands are moving? He's going to be doing that all day long. Now a fast left-hander through here. This is quick. This is in fourth gear, almost flat out, and up to what we know is the keyhole.
Now, if you look in the upper left-hand corner, in the past we have run positioning throughout the field and the laps to go down across the bottom of the screen. Here's something else we're going to try. It might be a little more convenient if it's up in this section, especially on a road race. Let's see how this works. Seems to be working very well thus far. Gary Gerald, Greg Moore, what's the problem?
Apparently lost boost, Paul, for a moment, maybe more than a moment. Dropped all the way back to the end of the single file procession. Now they're checking the computers and the telemetry, and it looks like the boost is coming back. Meanwhile, they've got all the spare electronic parts poised just behind pit wall in case they have to bring him in and make changes. But right now, it looks like he's back up to power. But boy, what frustration.
Greg Moore right in the middle of that rookie fight. Kind of surprised me that he has not yet won a race. I really thought he was going to score in his first season, but still 4 races to go. He's a road racing expert. Maybe it happens here. Andre Ribeiro. Honda Power, there he is, the Ducati car, now on board the Miller car. Ribeiro, and I meant Fernandez.
Right. Paul, interesting here, though, that you bring up that he could win his first race. Of course, he's dropped back off that, but no driver has ever won his first race at this race.
And we're riding with the guy who probably has the most experience. That's Bobby Rahal, currently 8th. And Rahal, this is his home track. He lives not all that far from here in a Columbus suburb as he comes in to challenge Fernandez.
You know, it's interesting. We just saw him down there at the end of the straight following Fernandez in that Honda-powered car, Bobby being Mercedes. Mercedes found that here at this place at the end of the straightaway, they had the fastest trap speeds of any of the cars out there, the Mercedes-powered cars. So I think we're going to see those guys a lot closer to the Hondas than we've seen in some of the races previously.
Now the report from the pits is that Mauricio Gugelmin is out with suspension problems, so he's the first retirement of the day. Al Unser Jr., look at this, starts 15th, up in 9th. So Jr. very much aware of the championship, the 2-time defending champion at this track. While a rookie may never have won it here, Al Unser Jr. certainly knows his way around, the winner the past 2 years. So 7 laps are now complete. The pole sitter Alex Zanardi jumped out to a good start on both the green and then on the restart. His teammate, the points leader Jimmy Vasser, is following.
Garden Products.
Round 13 of the IndyCar World Series, Lexington, Ohio, the Miller 200. And we're riding with Michael Andretti, 2 times a winner, but that was 5 and 6 years ago in this race. The last 2 years been won by Al Unser Jr., and he is already up from his grid starting position of 16th to 9th, reinforcing his abilities on this circuit. Poleman Alex Zanardi leads from second man on the grid. Jimmy Vasser, we've already had 1 retirement. Mauricio Gugelmin cannoned into by Gilles de Ferran at the back of the grid. When de Ferran, there's his nose cone, lost braking. You can see Mauricio Gugelmin there in the pit lane with Gary Gerald. We'll go back to the Americans and find out what is going on.
This bang on my back, I think he missed his braking point by 200 yards or something.
Well, he missed his braking point, and we told you they were going to check around Gary Gerald. What they found were the wishbones were bent and broken as well. So he's out of the race. Gary?
And Jack, here's the other part. This is what's left of Gilles de Ferran's nose, and you can see how all of this carbon fiber, Kevlar type of stuff that's so strong has just been twisted and chewed away. That's what happens when you rear end or make contact with somebody at this great speeds with all that energy.
I think the point there, too, is that that's not fiberglass. Carbon fiber construction is very, very strong. To do that kind of damage, you're talking some severe energy.
Well, as we saw in that shot, I mean, he just, I think Big Mo's right. Gilles just loused up his braking. I don't think it was too hard, 200 yards, but he loused it up by a lot and just rammed him right in the back.
Blundell has been reported with an off and on. Slid off the course, got right back on at turn 2. Zanardi, Vasser, Herta, Andretti. There's the top 4. And we are watching as Michael continues to try and work on Brian Herta. line is. Under this bridge, nice sweeping fast turn.
That's a really fun corner. That's the fastest corner on the track. You take that in fourth gear, it's almost flat out. But what we're seeing here really is that the two Chip Ganassi cars are gone. They've checked out. They've gone down. See, they're down the straightaway. We get a visual right there. Now here comes third place. That's quite a distance with this much, with only having gone, what, 11 laps. But see that battle in there. If you like, look at this. Bobby Rahal taking a look to get around Adrian Fernandez.
Looks to the outside of Fernandez. Not quite enough room there, but very definitely Bobby's on the prowl. This one has closed in to be a little tighter battle than that one we were watching up front. Look at Rahal right there.
And look who is right behind him, who's benefiting from this. Al Unser Jr., Gilles de Ferran, but I think he's about 3 or 4 laps down.
So de Ferran in the middle there, Ribeiro right behind him, and got a problem with P.J. Jones, a fire at the back of that Toyota-powered car. So the Castrol car pulls to the side. There is the IndyCar safety team right there.
There's a smart guy. He knew exactly where the fire station was, if you like. His car's on fire. He knew it. He could feel it. That's why he locked up the brakes. But he pulled in right where the fire truck was.
That's one of the things that they tell you back in driver's school, and it's a rule that never changes, is it?
Well, they tell you, and you know where these guys were. Saw how he bailed out. He could feel that heat.
So P.J. Jones out of the race. Lon Bromley is there, the fellow with his back to us right now. He is the director of these safety teams, does a terrific job. Some of the best in the world at getting down on top of a car and doing what is necessary to keep that driver safe despite what may have happened. And by the way, for PJ's only his third DNF of the year on a team that is with Dan Gurney working developmentally on that engine. You can bet when they get to the winter season, there's going to be a lot of work done, a lot of drawing. They're going to come back next year very powerful. Let's go to the pits and Gary.
Well, we're just checking in on the progress of Al Unser Jr. We had speculated that perhaps they might incorporate some unusual pit strategy, meaning that they might take an early pit stop and make it a 3-stop race, a short fill, which is a quicker stop, and then get back out so that he might cycle into the lead factor. But because Junior's been so good in the early laps and had vaulted from 15th up to 9th, it looks like now they're going to plan on a 2-stop race. They think they're within sight of the leaders and can run with them. Let's go to Jack.
Well, as we take a look at the onboard telemetry for Scott Pruitt, is currently posted in 5th place. It's not changing, folks. Why? The onboard telemetry's gone away. They're not getting anything back here in the pits. Add to that, they had a real brief scare in the first lap when the dashboard went out, Danny Sullivan. But Scott Pruitt changed the battery, made a change. The dashboard's back up, but they have to work the radio to find out what the car's doing.
Well, I got to tell you, though, once that race starts, and as busy as Mid-Ohio is, and you want that dashboard, it's not critical around here. Because of the practice, as many laps as he's run around here, he knows his shift points. What he's focusing on right now is that car in front of him and the car behind him. He'll just take any warning lights for anything else.
What about that decision by Al Unser Jr.'s crew? You think that's going to play out?
Well, I do, but I think what's great about racing, and particularly IndyCar racing, is you got to think on your feet when something happens. And with him moving up from 15th to 9th, Roger made the decision, hey, we're in a good spot. We're going to go with 2. If he had still been back in 15th, they might have decided on a 3-stop race.
The aerial footage for this weekend's Miller 200 is being provided by the Miller Eagle airplane. There it is. Hi, guys. How you doing? Thanks for the great shots. It's its inaugural broadcast test flight. Give us some rather unique aerial footage for the fans. So that is the plane up above. Here is Max Pappas. That's the 25 car, and that's way too early.
And you know what? Those guys aren't walking around there with any urgency. They got a big problem. Nobody seems to be anxious. He's just sitting in the car hoping they can fix it. That's an unfortunate thing for his first IndyCar race.
A lot of long-distance sports car experience. They call him Mad Max. Great guy to talk to and chum around with. We go back up now to the front of the field. That is Jimmy Vasser. You're on board, and we look ahead to try to find his teammate. Well, there he is, Alex Zanardi, and it looks like he's spread it out even more.
Paul, one of the things, though, that Jimmy's probably thinking about here is that Zanardi's out there in front. He's a little bit quicker. You can't catch him. He's pulled out. He's got to think championship. Sit there, drive the car as comfortably but as hard as you can. Don't lose too much ground for another yellow or something like that, or to take advantage of something that goes wrong, but to get away from those other guys and score the maximum points.
Well, Gary, Max Pappas started 19th. He was able to move up to 18th and then into the pits.
Apparently a clutch problem, Paul. That's what they've been chasing. They've tried to look through some of the linkage that they can get to, and it looks like maybe they've had some success because now the starter is poised under the rear wing, and they may be trying to fire it up again in a moment. We're just hanging on to see. He started to unbuckle, then got decided no. They're making a wing adjustment, and I think they're going to try to fire it up and get him back on course. Oh, no. They just had a problem there. As he began to spin the starter, the clutch wasn't engaged, and the car lurched forward about 6 feet. No problem. Everybody got back.
Well, there is a reason, of course, that we call them rookies. They are new to the series, and it's very hard to learn. There is Jan Magnussen. Look at his run up from 18th to 14th. Now he'll move over to Emerson Fittipaldi's car. After this, Paul Tracy will come back into that car, and then we're going to see him over really in the Hogan car for the remainder of the season. Then what? What is his background? What is he about?
Well, he's been a test driver for the McLaren Formula One team and for Mercedes. He drives touring cars, but he's got a lot of single seat experience. They're very high on him. They think he's very quick. He's done a good job. And who knows? I'm not 100% sure that the Hogan Penske team knows what their plans are for the next year, what's going to happen, but I think this is a good testing ground for him. I think it's very positive. And who knows? He may shine in this car, and they might not take him for next year, but somebody else might decide to pick him up.
Yeah, exactly. This is a time when everybody seems to be looking for who their drivers will be in the future. 16 laps complete. Alex Zanardi is the leader. We'll be back after these messages and a word from our ABC stations.
Round 13 of the IndyCar Series, and this man, Michael Andretti, hounding down through the gears around this scenic Mid-Ohio racecourse and chasing this pack. Adrian Fernandez now starting to slip away a little from the clutches of Bobby Rahal, and Rahal probably just as busy with his mirrors. Al Unser Jr. started 15th up to 9th now, and 1 point adrift of the championship leader Jimmy Vasser, who remains second behind his teammate and the pole sitter Alex Zanardi. Two retirements: P.J. Jones with an engine fire, Mauricio Gugelmin having been hit very firmly indeed from behind 200 yards after the start by Gilles de Ferran. De Ferran stays in the race. Max Pappas in with a gearbox problem, a brand new starter here on this race, and he should be back out on the circuit in a moment. But Zanardi and Vasser have this one under wraps with about 8 laps to go before we go for the pit stops. We'll rejoin Paul Page now, Danny Sullivan.
Too much ground to him, because he wants to pick up those spots, especially with Jimmy Vasser running in second.
Looking down on the long straight from the Honda Helicam. Down there is the start line, the finish line, of course, over on the pit straight, and Bobby Rahal continues to have Al Unser Jr. right there. De Ferran is still a bit closed in. Jack Harut, are we getting anywhere close to stops?
Yes, we are, Paul. Tom Anderson radioed to the current point leader, Jimmy Vasser, who runs in second. Let's come in on lap 30. That's what they're planning to do. But Alex Zanardi is being cautioned right now to remember about overtaking traffic. Let's not forget, out at Michigan in the Michigan 500, the wide line and the push condition that puts Zanardi in the wall while leading, Gary Gerald.
Couple of updates here, Jack, as we look ahead of the first stop. I think some of the Goodyear teams, which include Christian Fittipaldi, Michael Andretti, Brian Herta, Bobby Rahal down at our end, qualified on option tires, a softer, stickier compound. You have to start the race in what you qualify. Now, when they get to the first pit stop, many of those tires are going to go to the primary version, which is a little harder compound. So a tire change for many of these teams. And a quick follow-up, Paul, on Pappas. He thought it was a clutch problem. Actually, it was the dead pedal, a footrest, if you will, down in the box that apparently broke. So they refueled him, and sent him back on his way.
And Pappas is out. He is 3 laps behind the race, along with DeFerrin. Actually, Pappas now flashes as 2 behind, and then DeFerrin 3 behind, watching for the leaders as they make that move through 13. And you can see already Davy Jones is being caught by Zanardi, and now we look back through a couple of other cars, Salazar, Mashushta, and then the second place Jimmy Vasser. The interval was at about 3.9 seconds. Now expanded out as they get into traffic to 4.3.
Well, something you have to be very careful about in Mid-Ohio is traffic, because there's really only one good passing spot at the end of the straightaway that Jimmy Vasser is just coming on to. But then you get frustrated in those tight corners because there's some openings. But if you take them, you're in trouble. For about 5 years when I was racing, the race was lost by just moves like that right there, where the guy would chop them and he'd knock the leader out of the race.
Jimmy Vasser trying to make his way around Eliseo Salazar, but doing it very carefully. Report from the racetrack now regarding Robbie Gordon. As he came past the pits a few moments ago, they said the engine was running rough. Here's a way to find out.
That bad. I don't hear it as clean as you'd like it, but it's hard to say from a driver's point of view. Don't forget, if it's not super crisp, you can just feel it going off a little bit, and that could be what he's talking about, if he's talking about it. But if the observers are listening, it just could be the way that the engine's picking up.
We do have his radio open, and Al Unser Jr. hits the pits. So Al Unser Jr. in, and this looks like it would be plenty early for Little Al, especially if they were planning that strategy, or is it?
Well, it could be that he made that, he couldn't get by Bobby Rahal, and he felt that he was quicker, so maybe Roger decided, let's stop out of step with everybody else. But maybe it's going to be a 3-stop race now. They've gone back to a 3-stop race possibly.
And Magnussen comes in right behind Little Al. Jackaroo.
Danny, consider this fact, too. One thing that Roger Penske knows very well down here is how important track position, how difficult it is to pass. We've already had one full-course yellow looking and examining a 3-stop race, not out of the realm of possibility, especially with the leaders pulling away the way they are. If you're in the back, you need to come in early just for track position.
Max Pappas, the 25 MCI car there. Now they're reporting that he is running very rough as well. He certainly was off-song as he came through the final corner there, the carousel, or the keyhole corner. Here come the leaders past, and now Christian Fittipaldi makes his stop. Before we get too far away from Robbie Gordon, he did start 17th and is now running in 12th.
Paul, let me tell you something too about these pits. You notice that it looked like he was going uphill. They are going uphill, so you really got to be careful when you leave. You got to give a little bit more RPM to get that thing moving up the hill, because it's just that little bit steeper than the normal pit.
Stefan Johansson and Roberto Moreno. Moreno in that data control car as they come up to the fastest section of the course. And we got a glimpse, too, of Greg Moore. There he is, in fact, closing on this. So we're obviously in the middle of a pit stop window, some a little bit early. The others really expected in about 5 more laps. So some considerable time on this long course before we see the rest of the field coming in. That is assuming that they run exactly on the game plan. Zanardi has led right from the green flag.
So for European fans, a tactic, of course, we're so familiar with in Grand Prix racing. If your driver can't get past on the track, get him in the pits. Get him filled up with fuel and brand new tyres. And of course, for a lot of these drivers, those are genuine race tyres as opposed to the softer option that they used in qualifying and then started the race with. so they'd have been towards the end of their life anyway. So good thinking indeed by the combined forces undoubtedly of Al Unser Jr. and Roger Penske. A clear track, some slower cars to get past rather more easily than the highly competitive Bobby Rahal and Adrian Fernandez. Now sitting alongside, or in fact on the roll cage of Michael Andretti as he works his Newman Haas loader around, and see how often the cars get onto opposite locks, something we're not used to seeing in the Formula One coverage that we see, of course, so often here on Eurosport. And down into the pit lane he comes. So another early pit caller, lap 26. The leaders are on, Alex Zanardi and Jimmy Vasser, and they too on the softer option tyre. Waves away the drink. He really wants to get this out as quickly as possible. Scott Pruitt's team look ready for him. And in comes the number 20 car. So Pruitt stops from 5th position. And indeed, Pruitt and Christian Fittipaldi, the only men in the top 6 running out of their qualifying position. Pruitt 5th and Fittipaldi was 6th. And that's a reverse of how they qualified. The top 4 remains Zanardi, Vasser, Herta and Fernandez. And the pits start to come alive now as the leaders come round midway through lap 26. Tear off, torn off, and back out they go. Greg Moore into the pits and out again, and seemingly no recurrence of his fluctuating boost problem. And Robbie Gordon's engine still sounding as if it's got the requisite number of cylinders and the due amount of boost. As we ride with Robbie, let's pick up the commentary with Paul Page and Danny Sullivan.
Andretti at the Miller 200 from Mid-Ohio. He just went into the pit, so did Scott Pruitt, so 2 Ford Cosworth cars have pitted a little ahead of what you anticipated, and we still have not seen, though, they look like they're on their game plan. The Honda cars, most notably Zanardi and Vasser, are probably due in a lap or 2.
What I'm also seeing here, Paul, is I think people are getting more tire wear than we thought. And I know I talked with some of the Penske crew, particularly Richard Buck, right before the stop. They're worried about how long these tires are going to last.
Right in the middle now on some of the stops, Jackaroo.
The reason for Alex Zanardi coming in as early as he is, he was planned to come in on lap 29. He was bottled up in traffic, guys. The crew talked to him, said, rather than battle with the traffic, let's just come in here, make the tire change now. The crew goes to work. Now remember, this crew has been changed just a little bit. The rear tire changer, well, he's making the change, no problems. Just waiting on the fuel. They're talking to Zanardi right now saying, take it easy. And there's the word, 14.1 seconds, he's off and away.
So as Zanardi joins back onto the race course, Vasser, of course, did stay out, and that will not give him the official record lead for a lap, because as Zanardi came into the pits, he actually crossed the finish line ahead of Jimmy Vasser. But Jimmy Vasser is the physical leader on the track right now, but he's due in at the end of this lap.
That's right. It'll take him for a second for all this to kind of get scrambled out and find out. We'll have to wait for a few minutes just to see who got the better stops and how it played out on the track.
So Jimmy Vasser due in. And the stops here are, of course, the time due in but not coming in.
He's going to lead a lap. He now crosses the finish line. He's the official leader at that point. So he got a lap under his belt. Now, if this was NASCAR, of course, he'd get 5 points for that.
And we mentioned that Joe DeFerrin looked like he was giving it a very hard ride. Apparently, he did get together on the circuit with Hero, and there is some right side damage being reported now to DeFerrin's car. We have not seen him head for the pits. In fact, he just flashed down the pit straight. There he is. We'll look for that. Nothing obvious at first glance on the right side of the car. Hero does come into the pits, so does Raul Boyce. I'll tell you what, DeFerrin is driving this thing for all it's worth. And they are waiting too for Brian Herta, who is currently second. So if Vasser and Herta come in together, we're going to see a race between those two crews. Plus, where is Zanardi going to be as they join over in the first turn? This is going to be good. Going back on board, Jimmy Vasser now.
Here's where
there's a carousel.
There's where he'd come in. Yes, he's coming into the pits.
So Jimmy Vasser makes his turn for the pits, and Jack Arut's there.
Already, Tom Anderson is telling Jimmy Vasser to be nice and easy. Watch for the traffic coming in. He hits his marks. Now, he's already radioed in that he does not want any changes, just a full tank of fuel. They radio over to him to make sure he resets the fuel button. Jimmy Vasser, now knowing that he's got a drag race on his hands, trying to beat out. Let's go to Gary Gerald.
Brian Herta in for his first service. They're going to stay with the option tire. Michael Andretti on his stop moments ago changed to the primary. Al Unser Jr. put primaries on the front, state option on the back. 13.8 seconds. Bobby Rahal also in behind him getting his service. A problem on the right rear wheel. Now they get it in shape, and Rahal starts to move.
Well, for Herta, you couldn't ask for a much better stop. That was good work by the crew. You may have noticed from the aerial that Zanardi did come across the line and well ahead of Vasser when Vasser came out. So Zanardi reassumes the lead, and then Vasser chased out, and then Herta. So the order should not change when they come around to be scored at the start-finish line again.
We'll have to see as well whether that's early stop by Al Unser Jr. actually puts him in front of Bobby Rahal on the track.
And continuing to track to Farron, if he has a problem, his crew certainly has not yet reacted to it, and he's gone down the front straight, the pit straight actually here one more time. So he's apparently comfortable with that car. Bobby Rahal, 11th. Robbie Gordon just behind him.
Bobby, of course, stopped after Robbie, so Robbie's got a little lighter fuel load and a little more heat in his tires. He's going to try to get back by him as quick as possible, but I think Bobby's going to be pretty tough. I think he was the fastest guy down the back straightaway during practice.
And Raul Boisel, there he is. One of the rumors for the end of this season. Where is he going to go? Team Green is probably going to change drivers, and Raul Boisel, with quite a bit of money in his pocket, we understand he can take his sponsor Brahma Beer with him, and when he does, he'll be able to find, hopefully, a good ride. Still seeking his first IndyCar victory. And following up, too, on the Emerson Fittipaldi story, you know, he's watching down in Miami, and we're going to place a telephone call to him very shortly here. Find out what at least he thinks today, if not what he really thinks about his future.
I'm going to look forward to talking to him because his line's been so busy since his accident. I haven't been able to actually get through to him, just leave messages. So, Emerson, if you're listening, we're looking forward to talking to you. Hope you're well.
Oh, he didn't give you the private number, huh? Hey, we have the private number. Christian Fittipaldi and Little Al, and this is a battle for the 7th position between those two cars, and it's the best fight on the course right now.
According to the scoring right now, it looks like that Al Unser Jr.'s early stop actually helped him a couple of spots. It looks like he moved up in front of Fernandez and Bobby Rahal.
Zanardi is still the leader, followed by Vasser, Michael Andretti, Scott Pruitt, Brian Herta, and that's the order.
Round 13 of the IndyCar Series, 35 laps in, the first round of pit stops completed, and Alex Zanardi, the pole position man, still leads this race from teammate Jimmy Vasser, who qualified second behind him. Third, Michael Andretti. Fourth, Scott Pruitt. Fifth, Brian Herta. And sixth, Christian Fittipaldi. So there has been some shaking up here. Scott Pruitt done remarkably well out of that, but now as the drivers come across the line again, after Pruitt took his late stop, Michael Andretti has moved up ahead of him into third. Scott Pruitt, though, still fourth, up from sixth on the grid. Brian Herta, fifth. Fittipaldi, sixth. And Al Unser Jr., courtesy of that out-of-schedule stop and clear track, comes up in 7th position from starting 15th. The man is on a roll. Let's go back to our American commentary team of Paul Page and Danny Sullivan.
That accident, which was very frightening, what exactly happened to you, and how are you now?
Well, I had the worst was the 7th vertebra that broke down, and I had a surgery by Dr. Terry Trummer, and Dr. Green, who is head of the Miami project, and I was very lucky that my senses, and I'm sure it's going to be just a question of time, and if physically I'll be apt to drive again, I would like to drive again, but it's still too soon to make any decision, Paul.
Okay, there's another addition then, Emerson. It seems like in a week it's gone from Emo saying that he's probably not going to drive again, and now are you telling us you are and soon, or what are you saying?
I think I saw Danny comment in the beginning, and Danny was exactly right. When you just have to have a crash, you say, I'm not going to drive, and then you start recovering, you feel better, you feel you can physically be ready again to race, and you wish to race again. But at this time, I think I'm very emotionally involved. There's been a lot of mental stress, a lot of physical stress, and I need another 4 or 5 weeks to make up my mind.
Hey, Emerson, this is Danny.
Danny, hi, Danny.
How are you? We really miss you, and you know, I went out of had my crash at Michigan at the same time last year, and I know how you feel.
Thank you, Danny.
Just, you know, watch these races and take your time. You've got plenty of time to make that decision. I know it's going to be a tough one for you.
I know that you called the other day. I was asleep when you called in, and you're right. I mean, I needed time to recover, and there's a lot of mental stress, and I think being with the family here, my wife Teresa, is great, but I miss the racing track.
Well, I know what you feel, and Jack Garuda, I'm sure, would offer one of his Legends cars for us, and we'll have a match race between all of us guys that are all banged up.
Okay.
And while we're watching Christian here, by the way, Emerson, nothing's changed on the course, so we've been following Christian here. How's he doing?
I think Christian is doing a fantastic job. He's his second season. He's much more mature, and he knows all the track now, and he's charging. He's a tough driver. I mean, he's not to win in Detroit, and I think any time now he can win a race.
Emerson, one last question from me, and then we'll let you go. What do you think of Al's chances to win the championship?
You know, Dan, you know that Al is always run very strong at the end of the race, and he's there. He's already 7th place in this race, and he's going to get points, and he finished every race. I think Al has a good chance of winning the championship. For sure, Jim Vasser potentially is the most likely can win and be the new champion, but Junior will be there. I mean, the pressure will be there, and Marlboro Team Penske will be running very strong in the next few races.
Emerson, thank you very much. I look forward to talking to you soon.
We missed you, Emo. We hope you get back real quick.
Thank you, Paul.
Thanks, my friend. And now, just moments ago, take a look at the leader back there in the back as he comes up behind Moreno and locks the brakes up big time.
See, Paul, that's what I'm talking about. You always have to watch the traffic around here. It's so tight, and the traffic has taken out so many leaders in this race in the past. He's really got to be careful.
So this is second place Vasser, who is 5.5 seconds behind the leader, Jack.
Well, here's what's going on with Chip Ganassi talking directly to Alex Zanardi, the leader. He's counseling him about passing that traffic, as Danny Sullivan talked about, but they are in a fuel conservation mode. They have tried to cut back on the fuel consumption, hoping that they can run with a little less fuel on the last pit stop. Not because they need to save fuel, but because it'll take less time for the pit stop. But what they've told Zanardi now, after having that problem, is don't be afraid to go to full fuel if you've got to make a pass in traffic. Guys?
Interesting piece of advice.
I wonder if he'd go to full fuel or if if he'd hit that magic button, Jack, that you discovered what it was for, because if it's for 10 seconds and gives it more fuel and more RPM, that would give him enough just to pass the car down that straightaway.
Well, listening to Chip Ganassi talk back and forth, hasn't said a word this week about the button, but he is saying go to position 6 if you need to. Go to position 6. What is position 6? That's full fuel mapping. As soon as they make the pass, Chip gets on and says, now back to position 4. That's conserving a little bit fuel. You know, there's 6 different fuel maps on board these Hondas.
And of course, what that also means why he's going, if they're watching the telemetry in the pits, they can tell when it went to full rich. If they're trying to conserve full fuel, then they'll just turn it back down immediately.
And of course, ever since, well, look at him smoke the brakes up ahead there. So now it's still Zanardi leading, and Vassar's closing in just a little bit. We'll be back after these messages and a word from our ABC stations.
So 15 laps in, and Adrian Fernandez still has Bobby Rahal bottled up behind him. Al Jr. did the good thing in that situation, got out of that little battle, got himself some clean track by coming in early for fuel, but Rahal stuck to the regimen he had put himself on, and is now forced once more to try and find a way, force a way indeed, past Adrian Fernandez. And Fernandez has the ability to keep him at bay in terms of straight line speed pretty much, and in terms of the narrowness of this race course. Mid-Ohio's ducks and dives, bobs and weaves, and climbs and turns, and that makes it a very tricky proposition indeed. Now, as the commentary team were just mentioning, the option to go to maximum fuel load is there certainly on the Ganassi cars, but whether Rahal will have that in his car or not remains to be seen. Interesting already that they're starting to preserve fuel to give themselves, with this big lead that they've built up, the two Ganassi cars in first and second, a chance perhaps to shuffle around with the fuel stops later on in the race, go an extra couple of laps beyond the 55, 60 lap mark where we expect the next set of pit stops. We're already on lap 41 out of 88. Zanardi and Vassar just running away with this. Michael Andretti still in third from Scott Pruitt. Brian Herter in fifth ahead of Christian Fittipaldi. We just heard Emerson on the telephone from his home in Florida. And Al Unser Jr. seventh, and at the moment surely at least evens money to take this championship. Junior, of course, has been there before. He's won it most critically, but he's been chased. He's been the leader with other drivers chasing him. He knows that pressure, and he's been the hunter, as indeed he is now, and as he has been all season since his really disastrous start to this campaign. So Junior, with a very successful first half of the race under his belt, if he can continue the progress he's made so far, will be knocking on the leader's back door before the end of this race is out. Looking further down the order behind him, immediately behind is this battle, Fernandez and Bobby Rahal, and then Robbie Gordon being dropped away behind them, Andre Ribeiro and Jan Magnussen in 12th, just ahead of Mark Blundell, but not such good news for Max Papis, still running 8 laps behind Gilles de Ferran, we saw earlier, still 4 laps behind the leaders, and really out of touch with anything here. No matter how much he gives that car, it's unlikely that he's going to be able to get back onto any kind of lead lap at all. So the end of the long straight, Bobby Rahal still frustrated by Adrian Fernandez. Let's go back and find out what's happening with our American commentator.
Fallen by the wayside with a gearbox problem, so he is out of the run. We have 40 laps to go here at the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course, and you ride on with Bobby Rahal. He is 9th place. Just ahead, that is Fernandez, and the two of them have been battling rather constantly for the past 5 or 10 laps.
He's close going down that back straight, but I don't know if it's close enough to actually make a move, but he's looking at him. Not quite enough.
Still not close enough. He's almost got to be back under that rear wing. You saw him fall out a little bit earlier, P.J. Jones, and now he's with Gary.
P.J., what was the story on that fire? What caused it?
Well, we were in the hot seat a little bit there. I was just going down the back straightaway. We were getting better and better with the car, and started smoking a little bit. And I looked in the rearview mirrors and saw some flames. I thought, well, I better get out of this thing before it catches on fire. And stopped. Safety crew did a great job getting the fire out.
We've talked so many times about this Toyota developmental program. You've stepped up. It looks like you've had more power the last couple of events, even from when you tested here.
Right. I mean, we gained about 2 seconds from when we tested here. And, you know, the car's working better. The motor's a lot better. You know, we really need the off-season to get our car better and get our motor. The off-season comes, I think we'll make great strides.
Thanks.
Thank you.
I think a lot of people expect that.
Bobby just making an attempt right there. Now he wants to stay as close as he can, but see, Fernandez just pulled out a little bit.
Good comparison.
Here we go. Now Bobby's going to take a look. He's going down the outside. Fernandez is blocking to the inside. Bobby does a great pass right around the outside.
There's where experience on this track really pays off. You wouldn't think that was possible, especially considering after the first of those turns, it's off camber. You can fall right off the racetrack.
This one track, though, you can go around the outside there because then you're on the inside for that left-hander up over the hill, the second part of the S's, and it is banked there. And like you said, Bobby's got a lot of experience around there. He's probably done that move a couple times before.
Absolutely beautiful move by Bobby Rahal as he makes the pass on Fernandez.
That Allentor Jr., he seemed to close on him very fastly. See Al's car moving there a lot, but Bobby seemed to close in on him incredibly quickly right there.
And he closes again under braking.
I don't know, that kind of looks like Al Jr.'s having a little bit of problem getting into that corner. Bobby's going to go by him, I believe, right here on the straightaway. Al's going to try to hold him off, but he doesn't have quite enough. I'm watching Al. I think he's using a lot of road here. He's being conservative. I see the car wiggling around a lot. I've got a feeling that his tires are going off a little bit here.
Yeah, there's got to be something going on there because now here is Fernandez, and Rahal just got him so quick and got around him.
And just pulled away. And Al had been out there comfortably in front of him. I've got a feeling that his tires are going on, so he's probably trying to conserve it as much as he can. Don't forget, Al Jr. stopped earlier than most everybody else did by 3 or 4 laps, so his tires are probably going away a little bit faster.
Tires a little close to the end of their life. Roberto Moreno, we reported him out, Gary Gerald.
Yeah, we thought maybe it was a clutch problem. Roberto, I understand that was not the case. What was the problem?
Yeah, well, the data control Firestone car was running fine. It was running very strong, stronger than in qualifying. We made a very good setup. The tires were lasting fantastic. We just had a good pit stop. Unfortunately, changing gears, it's like something broke on the gear shift, and it got stuck in one gear. You moved the linkage backwards and forwards, and nothing happened. So it was the end of the day for us, unfortunately. We'll be back the next race next weekend.
I appreciate it. Thank you, Paul.
Mexico's Adrian Fernandez all over the back of Little Al now.
Boy, that was some close racing in there. I mean, Little Al might have some problems, but he is not going to give up. Jack, you have something?
Yeah, it's exactly what you thought, Danny, and it's exactly what I thought about the early pit stop. He's got 3 more laps on those tires, and according to Richard Buck, this is his quote, this is the price you got to pay when you gamble on track position. The tires are going away.
So Allentor Jr. now has to fight the race course and his tires.
What he has to be careful of too, though, Paul, when he's that close wheel to wheel, if he takes a chance and touches, don't forget Jimmy Vasser's up in 2nd place right now. Al Jr. has dropped back to 8th spot. He does not want to lose those points.
Fight is for 8th. It looks like Fernandez may take it here as he comes inside a Little Al under braking and slides past Robbie Gordon just behind him there. Now, will Gordon be able to overhaul Little Al? backward in now. Now, we know it's not going to end right now, but as we continue to track the championship, well, Vassar, by nature of his position, and Little Al, as a result of the struggling he's going through now, Vassar would surge ahead in the points.
I think that's right now, but I still think there's a lot of racing to go.
Just something to think about. Just a little something for the future.
Well, but the thing is interesting. While you're thinking about that, so are the teams, but so are the drivers. They're actually out there analyzing where they are. They know what position they're in, and they know how important those points are. I believe that's also, as I mentioned earlier, why Jimmy Vassar's probably being fairly conservative.
Now lining up behind Little Al is not only Robbie Gordon, but here's the LCI car, Henry Ribeiro. Raul Boisel, apparently a problem. Not yet off the course. Finally takes a dart off. Here comes Ribeiro moving inside of Robbie Gordon. And they touch as they come through the corner. Here comes Magnussen. Looks like he got him too.
I don't think that Robbie actually touched. I think he had to hit the brakes so that he didn't hit him.
Geez, I thought I saw that. We'll listen here.
Magnussen hit me.
But he... See, he said that Magnussen hit.
Well, it looked like they were...
It doesn't have a big tree. Just push the steering rod back down. Steady. Easy now.
You heard Derek Walker and Robbie.
Push it down.
Push that steering rod down.
Okay, go.
They went for the right front. That was where the hit occurred. It looked, he said it was certainly Magnussen. I saw Magnussen get him. I wondered if he didn't have contact earlier.
Let's run it. It looks fine. It looks okay.
So Derek Walker says it looks okay, Danny, but here it is.
All right, Ribeiro comes around him. He's on the outside. He knows he's got that bank corner there. He stays on the outside, stays right there. No, he touched it. Boy, he went way off, but look here. Now, there's Magnussen. That's where he touches. I think that he just ran off the track with Ribeiro. Okay, they're on the inside. Very close racing here. No, it looked like some contact on that.
It looked
right
like Ribeiro's left rear got his right front.
And then he hits him again.
There's no question that Magnussen got him.
I think maybe he got tapped twice, but at least their tires touched on that first one. I don't know if that did the steering call.
All right, now look at this, Danny, and tell me, what do you think about the car? Is he fighting it?
Well, if Derek's guys looked at that right front and they said it looks okay, then I don't think it was a big bend.
On board now, Bobby Rahal. He comes right up alongside Christian. Heavy braking, he hangs on to it. Whoa, almost overstepped it there as he came up to battle the sixth place Christian Fittipaldi.
But you know what I'm seeing here? Bobby's really picked up the pace. Pascal Jr., we know has a problem, but he just moved right to the front and caught Christian.
And not to totally ignore what's going on at the front, it's no contest right now. Alex Zanardi is almost 10 seconds ahead of Jimmy Vassar. And Michael Andretti's another 8 seconds back from that.
Round 13 of the IndyCar Series. And it's turning into a real wheel-banging barnstormer. And this man, Bobby Rahal, right in the middle of it all, 52 laps into this race, and he really is the man on the move. Now up into 7th position and hounding down Christian Fittipaldi. He's already blown past Adrian Fernandez and Andre Ribeiro. And Al Unser Jr. has been left trailing in his wake as Junior's tyres go off. And Junior's teammate Jan Magnussen has been on the same pit stop strategy. He is right behind him, and the two Penske's look as though they're going to have to start coming in early again. Britain's Mark Blundell still in this race, and he is continuing, but the Eurosport driver right out of the contention at the moment, as Rahal once more has a very strong look indeed at Christian Fittipaldi. Fittipaldi defending for all he's worth, but Rahal seems to be in inventor passing place mode. And let's just sit back and watch this as the action unfolds.
back at the Miller 200, Lexington, Ohio, the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. You're on the nose of Bobby Rahal's car as he battles with 6th place Christian Fittipaldi. We should see pit stops very quickly here by the leaders, as 53 laps are complete by the leader of the race, Alex Zanardi. This has been the hottest battle on the circuit. We've been talking back and forth while we were away about that contact between first the one car coming up on
Andre Ribeiro.
Andre Ribeiro got next to Robbie Gordon, and then Jan Magnussen, and we looked at it a couple more times as Rahal tries to move here.
He's going to try around the outside, but
not
enough.
And what I think we've decided is that the smoke you see is from him locking the brakes, so Danny Sullivan had it dead on. The touch came from Magnussen. This is the Honda Helicam looking down on that ongoing battle, Fittipaldi, Rahal.
Paul, we also had some help from our back in the trucks, didn't we, on that one? They kind of played it back, and we had some opinions from Steve Bynum.
He had the benefit of replay, and everybody got into it.
Everybody got an opinion.
Whoa!
No, that was Bobby just going around the outside to have a dash into the pits.
Oh,
boy, did that scare.
Oh, boy. Gary, you there?
Rahal is here, and so are we, and we just watch and listen with the crew. This should be the final service, but they've got to make sure they get the full 40-gallon complement. I've got him in 14 seconds flat, and we'll check tire wear as they come back to the wall, and I don't see anything out of the ordinary here, Paul. A little tire rubber buildup, perhaps.
He gets the award for staying out to the last possible foot, I'll tell you that. He was right up behind Christian and then swept into the pits. So Rahal makes his service. There's his tires as they come up. They look pretty good. Goodyear, by the way, has a new tire they've been working on, and they feel like they're getting in much better shape in that battle with Firestone. Here's your leader at Zanardi. Michael Andretti, who is running 3rd place, heads for the pits as many of the teams now make their stop. Here's Michael.
Michael's been pretty quiet all day, but he's just stayed right there. He's moved himself up to 3rd spot.
Gary?
Engine may have stalled. They're on a hill, may have engaged the clutch. Now it fires. Here he goes. He's lost a couple of extra seconds, Paul.
And there is Scott Pruitt, who assumed 3rd place and then came into the pits himself. The leaders have not yet stopped. What a unique view. Isn't that great? Here comes Alex Zanardi. He's been the leader all the way here, save 1 lap, and Jack's waiting for him.
And, Paul, here's a great story unfolding on pit road for Alex Zanardi. Look at the left rear tire changer. That's Rick Davis. He has a suspected broken foot. He didn't want to make the crew changes, said it's too important. He limps back over to grab the starter. He has been icing his foot down, the left foot. He just wants to say, go to victory lane, 15.1. Hey, the Olympics and the gymnasts, they don't have anything on Team Ganassi.
And Rick is one of the great veterans from the pits and the wars that go on in the pits in IndyCar racing. That shows your perseverance right there. He wants that man out and heading for a championship if he can. Scott Pruitt suddenly off course just after his stop. Drove it off. Just drove it off the track.
See him moving his hand right there. He was moving his hand forward and backward like something was wrong. When those guys bend down, they ask you what your problem is so that they know what to do. He was obviously telling them something. He just left the pits, but I don't know what he has broken.
Well, whatever it is, it doesn't seem to have him in peril. That smoke, that probably really, that's just heating up under the cowling there and not really an issue. Oh, they've gone for... they're going to put him up on the record. Jackaroo.
Well, here's what's happened to Scott Pruitt. When he went out of the pits, all the gears worked, but he said he lost the drive from the gearbox back to the wheels. He's not sure what it is. He says, but all the gears seem to be working properly. As we prepare for Jimmy Vasser to make his appearance on pit road, Vasser currently posted in 2nd, gentlemen.
Well, Jimmy Vasser assumed the lead of the race, and as he came across the line, Zanardi was in 2nd, 20.4 seconds behind, still coming up to speed. but what that tells us is that we're probably going to find a very close meeting between Zanardi and Vassar when they come out of the pits, when Vassar comes out of the pits in pursuit of Zanardi. Battle for the lead. Remember we mentioned Rick Davis, the fellow with a broken foot. Let's go back to, there he is. Did his work for the day, puts it back in the water. Nice going, guy. As I'm fine.
Don't forget, though, in this pit stop, they take around 13 seconds, 14 seconds, but you still have to get into the pits. As we see him coming in right now, he's got to slow down. He'll go on the speed control button so he doesn't go too fast. Make that stop, 13, 14 seconds, and then out again.
And Jack, here comes Vassar.
Jimmy Vassar has come to a stop. It's a nominal stop. They don't anticipate making any change.
The whoa was for Fangio, who got off at the end of that long straight too. And there is a bit of a fire showing at the back of the car. And now we're included with all that sand and gravel that they put down there to help slow the car down.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with your TVs. That's just the smoke from the sand.
And he's safe. There is a fire very definitely burning there. And Juan saying, get over here and put this out. Here's Fangio's coming down the hill.
Brakes in there, locks him up. I don't know what that was, why he would lock him up just because of the fire, unless something had burned through there, but I don't think that was the case. He probably got a hot seat. He stopped right there where his teammate, P.J. Jones, is just at the next corner.
Jack, sorry to interrupt you in the middle of a critical stop. Can you get us back up to speed?
Yeah, it was a nominal stop except for one small injury, and it wasn't anybody on the crew. If I can give you a picture of this gun here, the outside tire changer takes this gun and he throws it across the bow of the car. I was standing calling the stop. Guess where it landed? Right on my foot. So now, like Rick Davis, I'm going to the ice, guys.
I was going to say, you better just stick your foot in that ice right there with Rick. You guys can talk, and you can give us a report for that next pit stop.
And give me that list of guys who want to be pit reporters. Let's go down that one. Jimmy Vassar, you're on board with him now. Came out behind Alex Zanardi, now positioned 11 seconds back from Zanardi in second place, followed by Ribeiro, and then Michael Andretti and Brian Herta, Bobby Rahal. 59 laps complete. Second round of stops done as well.
Round 13 of the IndyCar Series. You're watching newcomer Jan Magnussen on his first IndyCar race, and what a showing he's putting in. Now ahead of Al Unser Jr. on the race course. I said Al Unser Jr. must be better than the Evans favourite for the championship, and thereafter his mercurial move up the field has turned into a slide down into the lower relegation zone. Magnussen, after the stops, now on lap 60, is 11th. Junior 2 spots behind, 13th place. And between the pair of them, although not shown on the race course on the standings, is Mark Blundell, Eurosports man, in 12th. Up front, though, Zanardi leads Jimmy Vassar by 12 seconds, and Michael Andretti is making progress in third spot, but he is better than half a minute behind the leader. There goes Magnussen past Gilles de Ferran, repassing Gilles de Ferran. Mark Blundell right behind him there in the Pac West car. And those two guys as close can be, 11th and 12th position on the road. Adrian Fernandez being hounded by Greg Moore, and the rookie championship leader looking in even more impressive form at the moment. Alex Zanardi with the race lead under his belt at the moment, though, certainly scoring maximum points towards that series. Fernandez has had his share of dramas, notably with Bobby Rahal, as indeed a number of the drivers have. Rahal inventing some fairly impressive passing places here, and Rahal in 5th position at the moment, just behind Brian Herta and ahead of Christian Fittipaldi. So the race is starting to settle down once more after that flurry of pit stops, and despite their very early original stops, the two Penske's just 1 lap ahead of most of the others on their pit stop schedule. Everybody should be now fully topped up for a blast towards the flag. And was that then a puff of smoke other than brakes from Greg Moore as he crested the rise? Let's watch it pan out and see how he lasts.
Alex Zanardi is leading the run here. He has been the power of the day. His teammate, Jimmy Vasser, who came in here as the points leader, is 10, almost 11 seconds back in second place, followed by Michael Andretti, Brian Herta, Bobby Rahal, and Christian Fittipaldi. No changes since we've been away.
But you know what's interesting? Look right there on your screen. Adrian Fernandez in that red and green car. And right behind him is Greg Moore, who had all that problem at the beginning and dropped all the way to the back. And now he's up to 8th spot.
Greg Moore moving up through the field, trying to get those points for the Rookie of the Year award. Gary Gerald, another rookie. Mad Max.
And Max is out of the race. It was a small fitting on a piece of plumbing that put you out. But Max, tell us about your IndyCar debut. Did you enjoy yourself today?
And actually, we were really doing well. You know, the car was really performing very well. And, you know, we had some small problem. You know, we are on a development program, and we are working for the future. We will be there in the future for sure.
I think he's excited about a chance to get back in that seat at the next opportunity. Wish you well. Thanks.
Thank you very much, and see you soon.
Zanardi, Vasser, Andretti, the top three. No contest at the front. But here's Fernandez and Christian at it again. And this, of course, is for 6th.
And, of course, right behind him, as I said, is Greg Moore, poised for some points. And he's battling Zanardi, don't forget, for that rookie championship that we mentioned at the top of the show. But the other interesting one is Al Unser Jr., who's dropped down to 13th. And that sure doesn't help him with Jimmy Vasser in 2nd spot.
And that points fight, that's going to take him way back. Today's Miller 200 aerial shots are being provided by the Miller Eagle, a red Cessna 337 Skymaster airplane. And there it is. Here are the guys on board. It's being tested to provide these aerial shots.
That shot we just saw right before that, look, Fernandez got by him at the end of the straightaway. Greg Moore is trying to take advantage of it, too.
So Fernandez around Fittipaldi. Here comes Moore. Don't worry, we'll have that on tape. We'll give it to you. And we'll go back. Here was Fernandez working Fittipaldi. Davy Jones ahead.
There, he just, and look, he tries to come back, but Fernandez is on the inside.
And Moore comes charging right up in there as well. So now on board with Christian, and Fernandez now beginning to move a little bit further forward, pulling away.
Greg Moore wants to have some of that too. He doesn't want Fernandez to get away. He wants to move up that spot as well.
Kicked the back end out as he came around the keyhole. Now Moore working hard on Fittipaldi.
He's going to take a look, but look, Fittipaldi goes to the inside like he did with Rahal, but Moore's going to go right around the outside. What a great move.
So Moore makes his move on Christian Fittipaldi, and Magnussen, replacing Paul Tracy at the wheel for this race, was up to 11th and is in trouble. Here's what happened, Danny.
Coming up to the keyhole, he goes in there with Mark Blundell. Looked like he passed him, and Mark came back on the inside, but he's in a dangerous spot, so I think we're going to have a full course yellow.
Exactly what we have. Cross-checkered flags at the finish line, and that will slow the field, bunch everybody up, put Vasser right behind Zanardi on the race course. Coming up after this, just 3 to go, all on road courses. The coverage will be on ESPN, and there they are next week, and then in Vancouver, and finally at Laguna Seca in Monterey.
So Jan Magnussen's IndyCar debut ends, or does it, off in the gravel. That seems to be him coming into the pits there. Can't imagine why Al Unser Jr. would be a pit caller. And Magnussen just banging wheels there with Mark Blundell. Blundell getting away with it cleanly, seemingly. And Magnussen's car looks to be in one piece as well. Front wheel angle on the right front looks a little bit askew. We'll see whether he rejoins or not in a moment or two. So that was Blundell vigorously defending 11th position. Jan Magnussen now dropping down the order. But today has really all been about the two guys out front, Alex Zanardi and Jimmy Vasser, and the two teammates battling away in what has been the choice car of the season. Vasser started out superbly, of course, and Zanardi has come on so strong since there. You can see the Eagle driver Juan Fangio signing autographs, and Chip Ganassi has such a successful combination, he reckons, because of all the top team owners, he was the only one over the winter who had a chance to put together the package he really wanted. He wasn't tied down in any department. The choice of chassis between Reynard and Lola really made itself. The engine choice really made itself in terms of Honda. Robbie Gordon talking to the pits. And it looks as though with Magnussen in the gravel, in fact it was Al Unser Jr. in the pits under the yellow. Robbie Gordon gesticulating, as we can clearly see, very, very unhappy about the driving going on ahead of him. Robbie Gordon chasing Andre Ribeiro. And saying, for God's sake, get your foot down and catch them up. I think being the gist of the message there. Ribeiro doesn't seem to be driving a Volvo estate, but it's having the same sort of road rage on Robbie Gordon, the same sort of road rage effect. They are dropping away from Fittipaldi and Greg Moore, and they really need to pick up a bit of speed.
As long as you're the last guy.
So Robbie Gordon still in contact with the pits, and now trying to get his foot down a little bit. So Chip Ganassi then, with all the options open, the only tough choice on his part was to change from Goodyear and best buddy Leo Mayall's tyre company to Firestone, but he made that on business grounds. And the choice of drivers apparently made itself. Alex Zanardi introduced himself to Ganassi during the course of last year and was so pleasant to Chip Ganassi that Ganassi said, I've just got to look at this guy seriously, and ended up hiring him. So there's a story there, a lesson there perhaps for racing drivers. The pushy approach not always the way. Now Jan Magnussen back in the pits. Al Unser Jr. still down in 13th, so whatever his pit stop was for, we don't know. And that flash looks as though it may have been Mark Blundell making a pit stop as well. Ironically enough, a couple of laps later. Back on board with Michael Andretti. Andretti third now, and right up with Alex Zanardi, and immediately ahead of him, Jimmy Vasser. Let's go back now to rejoin the last stages of this race with Paul Page and Danny Sullivan.
The crossed yellow flags at the finish line tell everybody to slow down, get in race order, because they have a full course caution. They'll come back with everybody lined up just as they are in position. You watch Jan Magnussen jack a route.
Well, Jan Magnussen's biggest problem, guys, was he had never learned how to bump start a car. So what they basically had to do is Chuck actually radioed out to him and told him exactly how to get it done. They brought him in, checked the suspension, everything was fine. But this caution flag was a big break for current point leader Jimmy Vasser. Vasser's team was very concerned about his fuel consumption. In fact, they had really tried to get the fuel mix down, running it as lean as possible to save fuel. With this full course yellow, they've been allowed now to go back up when they go to green to go to position 6, Gary Gerald.
Well, Jack, it's interesting. The crews get on the radios and they talk to their drivers and they get them in a new mindset, because everybody's getting used to this new rule, the way they line up, because it puts all the leaders together. No lap cars to contend with. The crew telling Brian Herta, in fact, get in behind Michael Andretti, and Bobby Rahal is right behind you, and they're telling him Rahal is fast. Remember, you're racing Michael and you're racing Rahal. So that instruction's being passed along here as everybody gets set for this wild dash to the checkered.
There is Stefan Johansson, and he invited all of our television crew to his new go-kart track in Indianapolis, where I went head-to-head in open-wheel racing with my colleague Gary Gerald. Usual, the scoring monitor isn't exactly correct. I don't know why they had me so far down in the order.
Well, Paul, I think it actually had something to do with the fact that you were slower than everybody else.
The lights are flashing. Gary's on the line. Yes, Gary.
Paul, I don't know. I can get to see the video, so I don't know what kind of tales you have distorted here. But I think maybe we ought to do that again. That was a lot of fun.
It's indoors, and it's really great. It's Stefan Johansson's idea. He's there almost every night, and a lot of racers, many of them, Zanardi, DeFer, and they all live in the Indianapolis area, and they go by. Rubber in the keyhole.
That's a shot up there. See, that's concrete. There's asphalt on the inside. Then it goes to concrete. Look at the rubber laid down in there. That's got to be fairly grippy.
And coming into this championship day, 17 different cars had a shot at the championship, at least mathematically. We're back green for a final sprint now to the end of the run. And Zanardi led them back. Vassar was right there, but Zanardi had the advantage of rhythm back to the green, and he's pulling away. Still, they're lined up as they come into the keyhole.
Zanardi, for a rookie, has really learned how to do restarts. He has been great on restarts every time he's been in the lead.
Zanardi, Vassar, Michael Andretti, Brian Herta, his teammate Bobby Rahal. There's Brian as he works on Michael, looking for third place. No, too far on the outside, but he's in good position now. He might be able to get him coming off of here.
But look at that, right behind him is his boss.
Well, that explains it. You got your boss watching you, Bobby Rahal. You're going to have to go as fast as you can.
Not only that, his boss is running very quickly right now, and I don't know if there's team orders here. What do you think of that one? Could you imagine the boss radioed over and told you to move over for himself?
I'd move over. I'd move over right away. You know, you might get the ride in the future years. You have to play it careful. But I'm not a championship racing driver.
There again, I think I'd have radio problems.
And you are a championship driver. Zanardi, Vassar, they're both across the line. Michael Andretti holds on to his third place, despite the challenge from Brian Herta. Bobby Rahal down working on his teammate Herta. Fernandez behind Rahal. First three are static. Herta's trying to close in. Here's the rest of the field. Greg Moore tries for a move on Christian Fittipaldi.
He did that once before. I don't know if Christian's going to go for it twice, but he's dropped a spot because he was in front of Christian at the restart.
Robbie Gordon closed on Ribeiro as they came into the corner. These four are right together. 70 laps are complete.
When you're behind, that's the one great thing about having a full course yellow. It gives you a chance because it bunches the field back up, and you got a chance to race with those guys again.
Danny, there's a lot of talk about the full course yellow and the putting them back in race order. How do you come down on it?
Well, I think it's great because I think the disadvantage, the number of times you get disadvantaged at it is a lot slimmer than the times that you actually get an advantage of it. And I think that the guys who have been working to get their position should hold on to that position.
Well, they're all tight now coming off of that full course yellow with Zanardi, the leader, and he hasn't pulled out all that much. He's only 1.1 seconds ahead of Jimmy Vassar.
So a dozen laps to go and the field as close as it can possibly be. And Andre Ribeiro here dicing with Greg Moore. Wheel-to-wheel stuff, and behind him all the way down the order as well. Some fantastic battling. Christian Fittipaldi just jumped away from Greg Moore after the restart. And behind him, Ribeiro, Gordon, Blundell, Parker Johnston, Al Jr., Stephanie Hansen, Jan Magnussen still in it. And past Ribeiro comes Robbie Gordon. So there's still wheel-to-wheel all the way through here. The tyres are tired. The brakes are tired, the fuel light is low, the boost is now going to be on full belt, everybody on maximum richness on the air fuel, and we have got a great race in prospect for every single position on the racetrack, perhaps with the exception of Gilles de Fer in a lap down, or 3 laps down in fact now on the leaders. Zanardi edging away, as we can see from Jimmy Vassar, maybe 2.5 seconds in it now, but the pair of them again driving away from Michael Andretti. The Newman Haas Lola just not able to stay with the 2 lead cars, And behind him, Brian Herter fighting off Bobby Rahal. But look at Blundell. Blundell getting very feisty indeed in this close traffic. And even the old stager, Stefan Johansson, looking to try and put his nose alongside, 3 abreast down into the corner, if he can manage it. So Blundell putting pressure on Andre Ribeiro. Johansson coming under attack from Al Jr. And this could be anybody's 10th, 9th, 8th, 7th, 6th. Although in terms of the outright victory, Alex Zanardi still has this one very firmly under control. And of course, with the wins already under his belt this season, and running very wide indeed goes the LCI car. This is a chance for Blundell, but unbelievably, he recovers enough to hold him off. So Blundell still battling, and what seemed like an open door found himself having it shut on him. Let's go back once more to join our American team for the dying stages of this enthralling race.
The Miller 210 to go as you take a look back from Ribeiro's car. Blundell trying to close in on Ribeiro. Has been all over the place in the past lap or so.
I don't know what's happened to him. He locked up. He could have gotten off and gotten on to the marbles and all that pickup, and he hadn't had a chance to clean up his tires from that, but he's sliding all over the place and has dropped back.
No changes at the front. Zanardi, Jimmy Vasser still just over a second separating them. The two teammates. Zanardi has been the dominant power throughout this run here today, starting on the pole and jumping off to a lead and then keeping it through the pit stops. Let's go to Jack Arute.
Well, we've documented Scott Pruitt's problem. He's back in his civvies, but take an assessment of the guys that were in front of you, Scott. Who do you think has really got the muscle today?
Well, it's clearly, both the target cars were really clearly the ones that were showing the way for us. Michael and myself and Herta, we all seem to be about the same speed. Just depends on who was in front.
How difficult is this racetrack for someone like you?
Physically, it's very demanding. But these days the guys are in great shape. You see a lot of those tubes coming out. Instead of taking the water during a pit stop, we take it during the race. So that's really not going to be a problem. The biggest thing, just like something happened to us, is little things that might happen. For us, it was a drive shaft or something. The Patrick guys did a great job on pit stops. But for the most part, everything's got to be clicking. It's got to be good and consistent for the whole race.
Remember, this was the guy that first lost his dash, got it back, lost the telemetry. Now he lost the drive. Not a good day for Patrick and the Firestone crew.
Difficult day for Scott Pruitt, his 4th DNF of the year. And Jimmy Vasser coming into that area just covered with extra rubber that has been sprayed off the sides of those cars. Very soft compound. 8 laps to go now for the leader and for Jimmy Vasser. First and second, right there they are.
I'm watching Jimmy on here. He's sliding that car around. He's certainly not giving up the fight for this thing. He definitely wants to get up to the front.
Leaders have separated out just a bit. Here comes Fernandez, Christian, Robbie Gordon, and there is Greg Moore, Gary Gerald.
And Greg Moore continues to have the same kind of a problem that haunted him early. He started 7th. The motor almost totally shut down. Lost power.
And Robbie Gordon slides off on that corner.
Robbie Gordon's gotten off at the keyhole. He's stuck in the same place that Magnussen. That's going to probably be
and also Hero off course. So those marbles we showed you a minute ago, definitely a factor. Gary, we interrupted you. Both these drivers appear to be okay. Can you, as they go to full course yellow again, can you finish up?
Well, it's more of that same kind of a gremlin. Tony Brunetti and this crew very, very frustrated because he'd worked his way all the way back up into the top 10 in 7th, and now they're encountering the same kind of a problem. Intermittent loss of power. Really frustrating day for Moore and his crew.
5 to go, but now they have seen the yellow flags all around the course. Pace car will come out. They'll bunch him up again. And now it very definitely will be a sprint to the finish. 7 laps to go in the Miller 200. What has been an interesting day in the fight for the championship.
Well, doesn't that picture just sum it all up there? The steering wheel hurled away in disgust, kicking the car. He'll probably kick himself later as well. It seems, though, as if, certainly from the body language, there was a mechanical disaster just behind his head. Now, there were reports an hour ago that his car was running rough. It seemed to be continuing at speed unabated. maybe that was just the beginning of something going wrong for Robbie Gordon. Entirely unrelated incident, I would think, by Hiro Matsushita. He was a couple of laps shy, in fact 4 laps shy of the lead lap. Look how far Robbie Gordon hurled the steering wheel. These guys certainly are fit enough. Replay now on board with Gordon, coming down the main start straight. Engine still sounds good, still has drive, still has power. No, that's it, it died. Just then and there it died. He switched it off and that was all she wrote. Greg Moore goes by, and so too do the rest of them. Now the laps are ticking away. Lap 76 already, a full course yellow on, and only 83 to go. So this is going to come down to the restart, the final restart, and that would seem to be Jimmy Vasser's only chance. He's led 2 laps here during the pit stops when Alex Zanardi was off the track and in the pits, out of sequence with him obviously. And other than that, he has led none of this race whatsoever. Zanardi dominated in qualifying with a new course record. Jimmy Vasser got under the old course record but was unable to match him. And so it seems again, Zanardi has got enough experience now to get a decent restart. Michael Andretti on current showing is unlikely to be quick enough.
Zanardi, Vasser, Michael, Herder, Rahal, Fernandez, you are 7th, Moore and Ribeiro.
So there's the radio message to Christian Fittipaldi, with whom we ride right now. Running down the order, you are 7th, Fernandez ahead, and Greg Moore right behind. But Fernandez probably going to be more of the interest for him, and Fernandez, well, he's having a lunge. Here we go, back with our American team for the dying seconds of this race.
Back at Mid-Ohio, still under the full course caution, and we were probably a little too quick to jump on Robbie for sliding off into the gravel pit. Not exactly what happened. Here he is on the pit straight. There's through turn 1.
He comes out of turn 1, everything's okay. Doesn't go up into any of the marbles. Accelerating up, checking there. Listen to that. That's either a motor or gearbox. Something broke.
And this was when he climbed out.
Yeah, and he just drove off and he parked it in a pretty good spot.
Frustrating for a guy like Robbie Gordon, but at least he's safely out. They still have to get Hiro's car off the edge of the race course. They already have Robbie Gordon's car off of the course. So now this flag should go green very shortly. When we come back, we'll catch the restart and we'll run right to the checkered flag.
So there we go, confirmation from the onboard camera footage, and Robbie Gordon very definitely out of it, and no doubt in his mind where the culprit lay as he gave the side cowling of the engine bay a boot as he got out of it. Did sound as if it all just went pop fairly quickly. So Michael working a bit of speed through the corners, just getting the car a little bit sideways. We're working a bit of temperature into the rear tyres, and you can see there 2 cars up. The leader, Alex Zanardi, weaving away. Jimmy Vasser in second spot. The red and white flags still out. The yellow and white flag still out. Lights still on the pace car, so maybe another lap to go while Hiro Matsushita's car is dragged out of its little dusty repository. And the driver's desperate to try and keep life in these tyres now for the last half dozen laps after this restart. But the first few seconds of the restart will be absolutely critical of everyone now. They're going to close right up behind this pace car, so there's barely a car's length between them, and that's where it's all won or lost. Every single position down to 12th position, all the point scoring places are up for grabs, all in contention, and there is going to be all hell breaking loose as soon as the lights go off, as soon as the pace car disappears. There is the view of the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course, just outside Lexington in green pastoral Ohio. And what a fabulous race course. What a great race it's provided for us this evening here on Eurosport. Now 4 races still to go in the championship. Next week we'll be back with more action and all road courses. So looking good for the road course specialists. Among them, of course, ex-Formula 1 driver Alex Zanardi. So the pace car lights are still on. Road America is the Next race, Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin, next weekend. We'll be back on Eurosport for that. James Allen will be back from his holidays to talk you through it. But meanwhile, we go back to the last 6 laps of this race, 5 laps with Paul Page and Danny Sullivan.
Caution flags still fly all around the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. They cycle around behind the pace car. Look there, if the race ended now, well, Alex Zanardi would be the big benefactor with his theoretical victory at the moment, moving up into 3rd place, but still that points battle staying very, very tight. 4 laps to go as they move down the pit straight, and we'll see a green flag at the end of this lap, and it'll be a very short run to the checkered.
Well, they're only going to have a real quick dash, as you say, but in that point situation, the guy that Vassar's got to be very pleased. Zanardi's got to be very pleased. Chip Ganassi's got to be very pleased. The disappointed guy's got to be Al Unser Jr., who's in there with 1 point at the moment, and he's going to try to probably make the most of it with this restart when they go. They'll have 3 laps because everybody will be bunched together, but he's got some pretty tough guys in front of him.
Again, under the new rules, the field is in race order. The 12th car back is Al Unser Jr. That position is only worth 1 point. Look at him poke his nose out there, let everybody know that, that he's right there. Gary Gerald?
Follow up on Robbie Gordon. It was engine related. The engine just expired. That's what pushed him out of the competition. Michael Andretti, who is 3rd in the leaders serial, expressing concern to his crew on the radio. He's worried about the horsepower the Mercedes may have right behind him in Brian Herta and Bobby Rahal. So Michael's hoping that he can hang on to that 3rd spot on the podium. Jack?
Gary, what does a car owner say to the driver of the lead car? Quite simply, Chip Ganassi said, Alex, next time by, don't lay down on me. Stay out front.
I'll tell you, there's a lot of guys going right now with all this stuff because it's come down to the last 3 laps.
Hey, here is some high-tech race fans. They have their generator, they have their television, they have their little DSS dish. They're having a great day. They got the best all coverage. How you doing out there?
And they're sitting at the first corner so they can watch them up that short chute, out of the keyhole and down the back, and then pick them up on television.
Portable satellite coverage. Who would have ever thought? So now it's going to be a sprint. A mere 3 to go when they come back to the finish line, and the green flag already. Tim Swintal, the starter, is anticipating the cars coming off of the carousel through 13 and heading toward him. And this restart could mean so much. Zanardi fires it up. He moves. There comes the green flag. A critical 3 laps for the entire IndyCar season. Unser Jr. doesn't make a move as he comes through 1, stays in line. Zanardi again gets a great start, but Michael Andretti is up challenging Vassar.
See his hands turn there. He had a little back end coming out, had to correct it. But look at this. Brian Herta's looking for a way around him.
Brian Herta wants Andretti. Vassar sweeps way to the outside. Herta's alongside Michael. Michael's going to stay right there with him. Battle for 3rd. It looks like they got together there.
Boy, they had their wheels interlocked there. That is some close racing. Of course, his boss is sitting there watching the whole show.
So Bobby Rahal still lined up behind Brian Herta, then Michael Andretti ahead. The leader is still Zanardi. Vassar's right behind him. Zanardi with another good start is able to pull the momentum away. As they come around now, 2 laps to go. 2 laps to go. No change in the order. Still keeping an eye on Little Al. Still 12th. That graphic in the upper left-hand corner, it takes a little bit for the computer to process it and update it to 2 laps to go. It's now done that. Little Al working on Parker Johnstone. Battle for 11th. Battle for a point. Ribeiro working on Greg Moore. Little Al can't contest Johnstone coming off that
who's all over him is Johansson. If he passes him, Little Al gets no points.
With Jan Magnussen right behind him and pushing Johansson. 1.5 seconds, the separation first to second at the point. No contest there between first and second place. We watch for the white flag. Here it is. 2.25 miles to go. Zanardi, then Vassar, then Michael, then Herta, Bobby Rahal, Fernandez, Christian, Ribeiro, Greg Moore, Blundell. That's the way they come across the line. No changes yet. Who's going to make the move to try and grab that extra point? Doesn't seem like but Moore is in fact the one. Moore gets into the barrier. That's going to be very costly in terms of the rookie fight. So Greg Moore jumps out, and that brings everybody behind him. Blundell, John Stone, Unser Jr. forward, so they're all going to pick up better points than they would have. Greg Moore appears to be okay. Sure, he takes off the wheel. And two other cars, Parker Johnstone and Magnussen.
No, that's
Al.
Junior.
That's Al. Junior and Parker Johnstone get together. That's going to be costly. Ribeiro's in trouble. What a final lap this has become. So Zanardi will head for the checkered flag and take the win just ahead of Jimmy Vassar. Alex Zanardi with the win on a very action-packed and somewhat confusing final lap. Nice job, Guy. You really helped your guy do it today. Al out of the car.
Well, we're going to need a dozen replays at least to try and figure out who hit where and whom and why and wherefore. But there is the winner, no doubting that. Alex Zanardi, Jimmy Vassar in second position. Greg Moore throws away valuable rookie points. There was never a gap there, really, in all seriousness. And let's have a look now at Al going for it down the inside again, over ambitious. And Stefan Johansson and Jan Magnussen go through into 12th position, I think. Jan Magnussen probably picks up his first IndyCar point on his debut. So Al Unser Jr. now may live to rue that before the end of the season. And Parker Johnstone, okay, it was the last lap. Everybody's dander was up, a racing accident. And he gives him credit for it. So what a sensational finish. The Chip Ganassi crew couldn't care less who hit who, because neither of their guys hit anybody else. Alex Zanardi wins it. Jimmy Vassar takes second position, and Vassar extends his championship lead. Let's work out the way that it goes now. Vassar in second position now has 128 points in the championship, and Al Jr. still 111. So there is the difference at the top of the series. More action on Eurosport at the next round at Elkhart Lake. So there you go. Those are the unofficial positions. They are the points scorers. So Al Unser Jr. and Jan Magnussen both lose out on that, I'm afraid, just outside the points. But Jimmy Vassar extends his championship lead over Little Al, but it's not over yet. Join us at Elkhart Lake in a week's time for the 14th round of the IndyCar Series. Until then, my name is Martin Haven. Bye-bye.